And we're live. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, hello. You might notice I'm dressed a little more snazzy than usual. I figured it's the holidays. I got these. I might as well rock them, you know? And I'm not trying to be like, oh, only the holidays of this time of year that rock the red and white are valid. No, no. If you do blue and white, more power to you. If you do whatever the other colors of the other holiday things that this time of year are, hooray. It's weird that people are like, conflicting things. I don't know. I'm not trying to bother anyone. I just have it. I wanted to wear it. Thought it looked nice. Anyway, because you deserve it. Really is what it's all about. Is you deserve a well-presented me. As rarely as it happens. Sometimes I gotta actually put in some effort into my appearance. And someone's gonna tell me in the comments, like they always do, like, you should keep the beard. I know I should, and I'd love to, but National Guard won't let me, unfortunately. I would love to. Anyway, let's ramble for a few minutes, see what you guys are doing in the chat. Say hi to everyone while we wait for people to start streaming in. And I'm sorry that this is a late stream. I had some stuff that came up that I had to deal with, mostly of a furniture-related type. I got a new table. It's pretty nice, and this was the only time to get it, so I had to delay an hour. I know. I shouldn't put tables before all of you fine people, but unfortunately, we had a very small window, and I thought maybe you'd forgive me if I brought back the smashable plates and the Big Bopper and maybe some apple juice. So, hi everyone, how's it going? If Justin wonders if Detroit will be mentioned, I assume you mean Detroit Threat Management. There's a chance. Probably near the end, because I got some stuff that is better than that. That's more ridiculous. Detroit Threat Management, assuming that is what you're talking about, is certainly absurd. I'm a little conflicted because some of the stuff is just outright like, no, absolutely not. But some of it is like, that technically would work in that very specific situation if you had practiced it, if you were, ready to go, and if you were like, well, there is a chance of failure, in which case I will die, right? So if it was like, I'm going to die anyway, and this is I don't know. It's a thing. The jujitsu, wrestling, grappling stuff that they teach is, oh boy, I was not impressed. But some of the disarms, technically, from a physiological, motor coordination standpoint, sure. I would not use them. I have different things that I would do if I were to do it. At some point, we should go over it, because I've been thinking about doing that for a while. But we're not there yet. Anyway, Raymond, confirmed third. Here you go. What else do we have? How's everyone doing? Rennie, thank you. It's fun. It's old. I need to get a better one. It's falling apart. But you can't tell from where you're at. I'm not going to tell you what seams are ripping. Not happening. Christy, hello to Georgia. I have some stuff that I'm going to be talking about over in your state, assuming it's the state and not the country. Not yet. We're waiting on one last thing, but it's going to be good. Fort Lauderdale. I'm just kidding. Hi to the Fort Lauderdale area. It's skipping. It's jumping around. Arash, thank you so much as always. It's going well. It's holidays are busy. So I've been trying to keep up, but I think we're gonna slow down the video output for this month. Maybe I'm gonna try not to, but it's just sort of the holidays, and I have to take the time I want to spend with you all, and then compare it to the time I want to spend with my family, and then work is still happening, and it's just chaos and nonsense. Yeah, you know how it is. But yeah, it's good. Things are good. But yeah. Have I reindeer to kill for this jacket? I hope none. I would hope so. But I digress. I put tableaus before bros. Look, how can I invite you guys over for dinner without a nice table to put the dinner on? Checkmate. Anyway, speaking of videos that are coming up, I have a script I've written I'm going to review, because I don't know if there's more I want to add, about Russian sovereign citizens. And let me tell you, fascinating stuff. Russia has its own version. Ha! I just, you don't even know. It's just nuts. MSCB, thank you so much. Little something for Ray's Christmas fund. She deserves it. Yeah, she hasn't told me what present she wants yet, but we're working on it. She's really tight-lipped about that sort of thing. We're gonna figure it out for sure. Asher, good to see you as well. Thank you so much. And yeah, Rennie, tell us what you want. What do you? Oh, I'm a little low on apple juice there. Mm-mm-mm. I'll give you a. You know what? Because I can't keep it in. It's too good. The Russian sovereign citizens are based off of the idea that when the USSR collapsed, Russia, the the collapse wasn't done correctly, and which isn't accurate, and the power was never ceded to the individual republics that made up the USSR, and therefore current Russia, the Russian Federation, is still the USSR because something was signed wrong when in reality almost certainly wasn't. And despite the fact that the UN recognizes the transfer of power and the dissolution of the USSR, it really doesn't make sense. But like, Russia is not the place I'd want to try that. They have I'm not going to say tendency because I don't know how accurate it is, but they certainly have a reputation for making people disappear. And that feels like a good way to get yourself disappeared in Russia. I'm just saying. But yeah. 5 minutes of peace in your house. We'll see what we can do about that, Rennie. Noise canceling headphones. I know some good headphones up in there. Well, I just heard Navy. Hold on. Roland says thank you for serving in the Guard. The Army is great if you cannot make it into the Navy. Oh, some other people in the chat probably feel the same way. But Navy's great. Army's better, but Navy's great. If you like being wet. I'm just kidding. I almost went Navy. I wanted to go Navy. I wanted to be a pilot, but I'm tiny little bit colorblind. They wouldn't have taken me. And I went, if I can't be a pilot in the Navy, I don't want to see other people flying my planes, which is also why I didn't join the Air Force, which is a really stupid reason, but it makes sense. It makes sense in here. That's just how it is. I really wanted to be a pilot. And they wouldn't let me. And so I went with my second choice, I guess. It was a whole thing. No Christmas Snickers for Blue till you get your Halloween Snickers. Well, where are you? I'll open my garage. I'll toss one out. I've actually eaten them all. So, and the scale is definitely reminding me when I step on it, like, hey, bud, so those Snickers are catching up, huh? Yes, they are. Which is why I have the beard, to hide my chubby little cheeks. Not really. I just have the beard because it's nice to have one while I can. But, yeah. Did Army lose? I'm not honestly surprised. They always disappoint. It's the whole thing. Would I consider getting a pilot license now? I would not. I can't do it professionally, and I just don't have the time or money to do it as a hobby. Like, when I'm older, maybe. I probably have a lot of fun flying, but I have other things in my life that, I'm very happy to focus on now. And getting a pilot license just won't benefit me at the moment. Now, getting a license to fly drones commercially is definitely something I'm interested in, and I need to get back into that and actually get that certification. Because I have a drone. I can fly it. There's money there. It's really easy. It's just the market is not saturated because A, drones are expensive, getting cheaper, and B, it's kind of hard to get that. Like, the test is not easy for a drone certification. And it's not like it's like super challenging stuff, unless, of course, I don't know if you ever seen the whole like weather map that you have to deal with and the codes, and it's really just time consuming to learn it all. It's a whole thing, as is everything good. Am I going to play Police Simulator tonight? I am not, but there is a small chance I will try to stream some VR stuff tomorrow on Twitch. We might try to see if we can make that happen, get that all hooked up. I don't know. I can't promise it. It's a pretty slim possibility, but hopefully. And if that doesn't work, maybe I'll do some Police Simulator. I don't know. Weekend's a little busy, but I'm trying to slip it in there. I am not wearing. I'm not visibly wearing blue, but I have that, and I'll give myself one of those for that, of course. But yeah. All right. How are we feeling? Do we feel like we should start this thing off? Go over some of our stuff. I'm feeling it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. So, all right. We're going to start with, you guys remember Daywalker Texas Ranger. I wish I remember who gave me that because it was genius. What? Oh, I'm not wearing the pants with it, unfortunately. They are not on me. I'm not wearing pants at all. Prove otherwise. Or don't. Or don't. Anyway. Sorry, I just got distracted by... John says, when they were trying to put out the really bad wildfires in my province, some of the planes couldn't drop water because of a drone. Oh, yeah. No, that's a pretty big problem. I've flown a drone near a wildfire once, and I was very careful to keep it out of the way. It wasn't like a huge fire. It was just a small little brush fire, and I happened to have my drone on me, and I was like, oh, I'll put that up there. And there might have been one other guy doing it as well. I feel like that was that incident. There was an incident where someone else had a drone, like, hey, drone buddies, you know. But I was like, I'm not going over the fire because the heat might blow. I don't want it falling on a firefighter. I don't want to interfere with any equipment, and that's a very real concern. You don't, and it's actually a crime. I think it's a federal offense to interfere with firefighting operations, specifically with the use of a drone. Like in general, yes, obviously, but a drone specifically, I think there was a federal law for that. No. And drones near an airport. You can't fly a drone within 5 miles of an airport without filing a flight plan, by the way. I learned that a couple years ago after they had changed it. I didn't realize it, and I was trying to get footage around an area in Seattle, and I was like 0.2 miles within the zone, and someone came out, and he was like, hey, by the way. And so I ended up calling the FAA and reporting myself and be like, hey, because I don't want you to have to come find me. And they were super nice about it. They're like, oh, they were like shocked that I contacted them instead of like running and hiding. We had a lovely conversation, and we went over a bunch of rules, and it was delightful, actually. But, drones around jails. I think around here we actually have a law specifically saying don't fly over. No, it doesn't specifically say it, but the drones fall under it. And it's, I think it has to do with, like, throwing things into the jail yard. There's a law specifically with that. And I feel like I've seen people charged under that for drones. Or maybe I just remember an anecdote from someone who was telling me about it. I don't remember. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Drones are fun. There's a lot you need to know if you're going to do it safely and properly, et cetera, et cetera. Unless, of course, you live in the middle of nowhere, in which case it's pretty much just do whatever you want. Don't quote me on that. But let's get into it, because I've been rambling for about 13 minutes now, as I do. You know the first 10 minutes, how it goes. Disclaimers. We're just here to have fun. If you're watching this after the fact, and you don't like my rambling, skip forward. I should have said that earlier, because there's a bunch of rambling now. If you haven't figured that out by now, what have you been doing, right? I don't really have many disclaimers for this one. Whatever, I didn't really, there's kind of a last minute thing. But I got some good stuff. So, moving on. We remember the guy, he goes by the name Wolf. His actual name is Harold Davis, and I only say that because it's published. He... I reviewed a couple pictures of him and just his insanity, just how he was dressed, what he was armed with. And let me give you a little picture of him, of what he looks like from a video that we're going to see in a second. Right there. It's just, there's so much going on. And this picture does not do him justice. The video exists on my channel. The thumbnail is me with my mouth just photoshopped bigger. It's absolutely terrifying. But, anyway, that's not the only time he's popped up. The other time he's popped up, incidentally, is if we... Shkablamo. You know what? I'll give it to you here. This comes from Montgomery Advertiser. And it says, vet with gun, ninja mask, charged with intimidating general. Can I zoom? Yes, I can. And I will read it for you. If you want to see how seriously the possibility of violence against the military is being taken, you need look no further than the Montgomery jail, where an Army veteran is being held for carrying an unloaded pistol onto a military post and, quote, intimidating a general. Wow, don't do that. You don't do that. Now, carrying a weapon onto military installation, there are ways that you are specifically supposed to do that. These are things that I have personally enforced. Generally, you don't want the pistol near you. Disassembled is better. Separated from the ammunition is an absolute must. Generally, you do have to have it in a case, and concealed weapons carry permits are often not applicable because it's federal property. It really depends on the base. Depends on how the commander is feeling that particular year or that particular cycle of commanders of the installation. But loaded or not something you want to mess around with or get wrong. And you definitely don't want to be wearing it on you. That's a big no-no. There are specific people on specific bases that are allowed to carry weapons, one of them being, of course, military police while they are on duty. And some installations, I think the Marines started it first, military police can carry weapons off duty if they have been specifically approved, I think, maybe. We did not do that. I didn't care to do it, didn't want to do it, not interested. But this guy apparently didn't get the memo. So let's keep going. Harold Davis, a 41-year-old retired Army sergeant, will remain in jail either until his trial or until a federal judge in Montgomery determines that he is positively not a risk to the public. I feel like that would be a difficult decision to make, right? Like he feels like a threat, But it's a whole thing. Oh, Mikhailov, right? Why would he carry the weapon in the first place? Because this man's crazy. I don't think he's making the best life choices, honestly. But let's keep going. The former sergeant, oh yeah, by the way, he was military, who served in the military for 21 years, is charged with intimidating a general and bringing a firearm onto the U.S. Army post in Dale County, Alabama. The first charge carries a maximum sentence of up to 20 years, the latter of up to 1 year in federal prison. Now, I'd love to know what kind of sergeant he was, because sergeant can be E5, E6, or E7, and then once you get to E8, those being sort of the rank designations, E8 is either going to be Master Sergeant or First Sergeant. So there's Sergeant or Buck Sergeant, sometimes called. Then you have Staff Sergeant and then Sergeant First Class. That's E5, E6, E7. However, all of them within the Army, Marines, not so much, and the Navy does their own thing, and Air Force, who knows. Navy doesn't even have Staff Sergeant, I don't think. No. They have something weird. They like skip something in the Army. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I would love to know if he was E5 Sergeant or if he was E6 or E7 Sergeant. Because he was E5 Sergeant. First of all, generally you're going to get kicked out of the Army prior to 21 years as an E5 because you can only be at some ranks for a certain amount of time in service. Meaning, like, I think once upon a time you can only spend 14 years in the Army if you did not progress past Sergeant, although it might be 12, it might be 16. I don't remember the exact number. I'm guessing he's higher than that if he got 21 years, or maybe he was high up and then got dropped down, kicked out. I don't know, unfortunately. Hey, Dutch Doyle, how's it going? Welcome to good to have you here. But it's not really relevant to the story. It's just my personal questions. Yeah, you do have petty officers, and the rank too. Anyway, we have fun here. Bum, 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 bum. For now, U.S. Magistrate Judge Wallace Capel has ordered that the Enterprise man, who was arrested on the charges on May 30th, be returned to jail. Now, what? Okay, well, this just froze. Don't like that. Don't like that. Arash, hey, thank you. Says, sorry, guys, I was hoping to stay and spend the evening with you lovely people, but I just got called to work. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I appreciate it. I'll keep it up for you. Unfortunately, I hate to see you go. But next time. It wasn't supposed to be this late in the day either, so that's also definitely on me. Because, tables. But if I'm going to invite you guys over to dinner, I need a table. Am I right? So, anyway. Seatown, thank you. I also like the jacket. It's nice, isn't it? Amazon. People are like, where do you get it? Like, where do you get anything these days? Amazon. Yeah, you know? Uh, okay, it unfroze. This was published in 2015. Okay. Yeah, 2015 is fine. Let's keep reading. Quote, in this district, we have routinely prosecuted those who bring firearms to Maxwell or Fort Rucker, said Clark Morris, first assistant U.S. attorney for the Middle District of Alabama. It's something we've always been concerned about, especially in this world where we have not only ISIS to worry about, which is fair, where was I? But also domestic terrorism. We have to be careful. Something that, gosh, First Amendment auditors seem very confused about. Like, what do you mean security procedures? Sorry, I'm adjusting. Tablecloth got stuck on my leg. Don't worry about it. Yeah, like, it's pretty important. Base security. Crazy, I know. It's shocking. Oh, let's see what else happens. During a hearing last week, Assistant U.S. Attorney Todd Brown called FBI Special Agent Donald Van Hoos, a phenomenal name, by the way, who said that on the day Davis was arrested, he and his girlfriend Michelle Jackson and friend Maurice Houston, who are co-defendants, oh boy, they're in trouble, visited the home of a general who lives on Fort Rucker, something you generally don't want to do. You don't just like go up to the general's house and be like, excuse me, sir, how's it going? And we'll explain why he went to the general. It's fantastic. Oh boy, Davis, who was trying to get a private security company started, which he named, I forget what he named it, something, it's a weird name. I don't remember, it doesn't matter. Just so you know. All right, trying to get a private security company started, approached the general to discuss possible contracts, something that the general doesn't generally do. Unless it's like the post commander, yeah, that's not how that's going to work. And the post commander generally uses existing military security, MPI, CID, people who have gone through. There's a specific school for it. Well, it depends on the kind of security, or if they're using Department of the Army Civilian Police is a very common one. Of course, you also have military police on a military installation. So yeah, odd that you would think, especially having been in the military, unless there's something I'm missing, and he had a different experience in the military than I did, it seems weird this dude was like, oh, the general would need some security. It's not like the Army provides it for him. Crazy, this guy, I tell you what. All right, approached the general to discuss possible contracts while wearing an unloaded pistol holster to his shoulder. And, of course, we talked about don't wear a gun, you stupid. The general, who was not expecting to visit, shocking. Also, if you're going to visit a general, call ahead first, right? Like, schedule a meeting. You don't just go to the general and say, let's have a chat, dude. He called military police, and they later found what was referred to as a ninja mask in Davis' car. Federal defender Donnie Bethel contended that although it may have been poor judgment, the firearm and mask were part of the business plan to show what a security guard might wear. Why would a security guard be wearing a ninja mask? Like, now I get it. COVID, I guess, right? But no, in general, that just seems ridiculous. But we know that this guy likes looking like a ninja, so... Davis, who retired in 2012, served in Iraq for 6 months in 2003 and for a year from January 2005 to January 2006. He was awarded the Humanitarian Service Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, and Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal. Those are cool. Iraq Campaign Medal you get if you show up in Iraq. Humanitarian Service Medal you get if you do something of service to humanitarian efforts. Not difficult to get, but not an opportunity that necessarily comes up often. And then Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal is basically you volunteer in a way that you do not personally benefit from repeatedly in a way that positively reflects the military, right? Which could be anything from like a soup kitchen to probably like volunteering to help Boy Scouts to I don't know. Each unit has a different amount. Like, there is no set amount of volunteering. I think the regulation gives 500 hours as an example, but I've seen as low as like 66. Probably could have gone lower. I don't know. Like, they're like, oh, he's received these awards. They're okay awards. They're okay. These are not awards for valor. These are just, he had an opportunity. He got a medal for the opportunity. Good for him. Anyway, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Brown called Dr. Kirkland, a clinical and forensic scientist, to testify about the risk assessment evaluation he conducted on Davis. Quote, I do believe Mr. Davis has some combat-related problems such as bipolar disorder and PTSD. He needs treatment. I would recommend sending him to a medical center where he could be monitored. Probably not a bad call. Kirkland added that the city jail where Davis is being held is not conducive to treatment, as jails often aren't, shockingly. Bethel asked Kirkland if he had reviewed Davis's medical or military records before completing his recommendation, to which Kirkland responded he had not. Bethel later called Nancy Phillips, a public defender legal assistant, who testified that she had prepared the documents for Kirkland to pick up, but he never came to get them. Seems like an oversight, perhaps? It's fine, it's whatever. Anyway. Sorry. I realized I was taking a sip, but you couldn't see what I was doing. It was probably like, why is he pausing? So I made some sipping noises, and then I realized that was just a stupid thing to do, because now you have to listen to me make sipping noises. Just anyway, don't worry about me. Where was I? Okay. During a recess, Davis, his short hair trimmed to a mohawk, something you probably don't want to wear in court, but what do I know? I'd never been a defendant. Would lean towards the table and page through a Bible with his cuff-locked hands. Also probably not conducive to defense, but what do I know? Never been a defendant. Altogether, Bethel called 4 witnesses to the stand, including Colleen White, who works at Fort Rucker in the Department of Behavioral Health. Davis first came to her in 2011 with sleep issues and has regularly been a patient of hers ever since. Now, I mean, that is a good defense, being like, all right, he doesn't think right, which isn't necessarily insanity, but certainly could cause the judge to... cater isn't the right word. I want to say cater to his specific needs with the punishment for his actions if he was found guilty. Has he been found guilty? Let's see if we can find out. She testified that she didn't think Davis posed a risk to himself or others. I was surprised by the bipolar diagnosis, she said. The prosecution did not cross-examine her, but Capel did. He said one of Davis's co-defendants testified that Davis has worn the mask as he drove up to that Davis had worn the mask as he drove up to the general's home. Would you consider that strange? Capel asked. White said it seemed like a lack of judgment. I don't want you to act as his advocate, Capel said. I'm trying to make a determination about whether he can go back into the public, because if he does, and he causes harm to others, then that's on me. Capel asked her if she found the incident unusual, if it caused her any concern, and if this was the type of person she wanted out in the public. Bethel rose from his chair to object to Capel's line of questioning, but Capel ordered him to sit. 3 more times Bethel tried to object. Either sit down or you're going to be sanctioned, Capel said. Slowly, Bethel lowered into his seat. What a riveting article. At the end of the hearing, Capel concluded that Kirkland needed to review Davis's medical and military records before he could make a recommendation as to whether Davis should stay in jail before his trial. And that's where it ends. That's it. That's the end right there. Interesting. Yeah. So a bit of a fun story about our boy we're about to see in just a second. What did I miss while you guys were chatting over there? Anything good? No? We military brats ran around the base on Guam, sneaking to old buildings and hiding from shore patrol. Oh, yeah, you and every other single young person on a military installation. Because generally there will be like a building or two that's not being used, right? Maybe it's old, needs to be replaced. Probably has like toxic chemicals, keeping it fireproof. There's, what am I looking for? You all know what I'm talking about. Asbestos, that's the one. Asbestos. Really good at keeping things from burning down. Also really good at giving you cancer. So, yeah. No, we had a JBLM, I think it was a school that the kids would love to play around in. And in Germany, it was off. I mean, there were like tunnels to everything. So we'd always be checking the tunnels. I never found anyone in the tunnels. I found evidence of people in the school, but I never found them. I was not usually on the shift where they would be doing that. And then there were the old World War II barracks on North Fort, and people definitely snuck into those and had little parties. And we often found evidence of it, but I never found anybody, which is fine by me because that's a lot of paperwork. And I mean, if they were doing it, absolutely. But like, it's not like, oh, curses, I missed out on the thing, blah, you know. But yeah, I digress. Thank you for your donation, VO. Are things making noise? It should. I don't know if I've heard them go off because there was a $10 in that. Maybe I'm just talking too much. It's what I do. I have a terrible habit of it. All right, who wants to see? Okay, stop it. A little ad popped up. Let's look at our boy. Yeah, this guy. Anyway, I'm gonna get the big bopper ready because he's gonna need it. Oh yeah. And if we play this,
35. You got one 35.
Okay, first, my favorite part about this dude. Badge. Wait, there it is. Badge. Okay, I'm in the way. I don't know what that is, but it feels like it's not another. I don't think it's another badge, but it makes me think of a badge, and it's just there's just a lot. Let's see. All right, you can see my mouse. Good. So he's got some stuff right there. He's something there. There's a gun there. He's got a bunch of necklaces on, which you generally don't want because it's easily grabbable if you are, wrestling with somebody. You don't want that. He's got his leather trench coat that probably isn't actually leather. Yeah, it's a thing, man. This guy, I tell you what. Daywalker Texas Ranger. It's the best. It's such a good name for this guy. Excuse me. I'm reading the chat. Anyway, let's get back into it.
Show me right now.
No. He has a little pocket thing in his jacket. Oh, okay, I do love that. It's stupid, but I love it. It's never going to be used. I can't think of a single time that's going to actually be useful. Well, no, I can. It's just the odds of it. For those of you who don't know, I've done a little work on some pretty high-end security. And there's a reason we don't carry all of this, because guns work well. And if you train well with the tools that you use, you're going to be able to use those tools pretty well. If I am suiting up, at minimum, if I'm doing security, I will have a gun when I'm very competent with. I do love having a baton. Batons are really great for crowd control. If there are a lot of people and you don't want to shoot them, batons are great for scaring people off. Also knocking some people around if necessary. I don't want to hit anybody, but I also, if I'm doing security, have a job to do. OC spray, useful, very useful. Takes up very little space. And then probably body armor. Taser? Nah. Not my business. I don't need a taser. Police? Great to have a taser. Security? No. And there are other things that are useful for sure. He is wearing knee pads. I don't hate it. Like it looks ridiculous, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. He often has an arm guard. I don't know if he has it here because the quality. Let me pull it up. The quality isn't great on my end, and it might be under the jacket. But the arm guard is actually a really nice touch. That's going to be something that's pretty effective, especially if you have a sleeve to cover it. But yeah, no, he's got a lot going on that's just absolutely useless. I don't even know. Sit down, thank you. It says this guy should have called his company Soup Sandwich Security. Speaking of soup sandwiches, my Etsy store is in the description for once, because I always forget to do it. And there is a T-shirt with a whole soup sandwich design, and I don't know if it's any good. I have not bought one for myself. Generally, I like to do that, but I like it. I can't promise it will be quality, but it exists in case you need it. You know, yeah. You know, it's nice that people are supporting the channel through this, but if you want to support the channel and get yourself something, it is around the Christmas time. You know what I'm saying? So, that was my terrible advertisement for myself. Hooray. I never worked in sales. Let's see what he's got. All right, big old katana. or whatever equivalent nonsense. Uh, if it's good steel, great. It based on his look, I feel like it's not good steel, and would just like bend or shatter or chip or not maintain an edge. He does pull it out quickly, which is nice. Good for him. But like, my God, dude, stop it.
That boy, that is a monster. Let me see what else you got.
All right, throwing knife. You know, in case your gun stops working, you've got throwing knives. This, I think, is the thing that is the stupidest. Okay, there's a lot I'm going to say is the stupidest. But he has multiple guns. Why does he need throwing knives? Why would he, when a gun is infinitely better in probably everything, why would you need throwing knives? Doesn't look good. I do love. Okay, so by the way, there's probably gonna be some language. I'm guessing. I only saw like the first 10 seconds of this when I was like, "Yep, this will work." There is a crowd. I'm guessing it might not be totally appropriate. So if you're watching with your kids watching, wear muffs. But yeah. What else he got? Okay, there's his giant gun, right there. Oh my God, look at the size of that thing. That might be the one with the scope. And okay, don't know why he needs a scope on. If you have room for a katana, you have room for like a rifle. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Got a nice little 22 with a scope. 22s are effective if you're doing it right. I don't know. Oh, just there's so much going on. So much. What is this? Oh, these look like things you'd buy off, like Sky Mall. There's no way these are good. Generally, you don't get good knives in that design. There's no reason. It's a showpiece. Nobody's going to use a knife like that. There's no way that's going to be effective against anything. I mean, sure, it might it'll cut them, but why? Why do you need 50 knives? What's happening here? And they both, they go in the same little sheath. It's ridiculous. There's no way. This makes me so mad. It's getting one of those. It's just nuts. Asher, I would also love to see this guy stop by police. See what they have to say. The body cam footage on that, can you imagine? Oh. Rejected Mortal Kombat character. God, I love it, Starry. What else we got? That actually might be a badge. Another one. Oh, I need like high quality, God, like pictures of all of this. See, of all the knives we've seen so far, this is probably the best one. This one looks like a functional knife, something that would be useful. But come on, the rest of them, come on. The crowd, though. Yeah, there's the language.
Man, what else you got, man?
What else you got? Show us.
Man, you ain't got no gun in your shoe.
Oh, there go them knuckles.
Okay, those are brass knuckles. In some places they are illegal. I don't know if they are illegal where he is at, but he's got them. Just in case the knives don't work. Look, there's no way those brass knuckles can be accessed quicker than the knives. And it's incredibly unlikely that they would be more effective than the knives. Sure, for like blunt trauma, absolutely. But unless you're going against someone wearing a suit of armor, not terribly useful. Also, you have a gun. It will go through that armor. Additionally, you lack the range of all of your edged weapons when you have the brass knuckles. And certainly you lack the range of the gun. There's no reason. There's none. Right? Like, if I want a little bit of extra pizzazz, I might have one of those belts that have, like, the buckles that have the knife, the tiny little knife. Right? Useful. It's a nice little tool if I need to cut something. Like, oh, yeah, just... Excellent. Yeah, got it. If I need something swanky that I can show off to people. But that's basically as far as I'll go. Yeah, if he falls over, he's not going to stand. Just get a magnet. He won't be able to beat you. Go gadget katana. Kills me.
You been in that county before, I see, bro. Oh, that boy got bulldogs on him. Oh, boy, you ready to fight all the deals we see on the way here right now, man?
This crowd.
About 30 deals.
Oh, come on. Look at this little. Again, there's no way that's going to be faster to draw than all the other better stuff. There's no reason to have that and brass knuckles, I imagine. Why would you have that? Why would you need that? You know? It's going to weigh you down. Like, imagine him running after you. Just everything's rattling together. No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a okay, so imagine, oh, this is my favorite thought that I've had all day. Him going to the general and whipping this stuff out like that, and the general just like, no. And him being, well, hey, look, man, like, your soldiers could use it. It'll make them better fighters. And the general just, no. They have rifles, dude. They're going to be okay. Yeah, kid gets disarmed 42 times. Still in the fight. Fair point. Let's keep going.
Oh my God! Boy, that nigga turned the world. Turn the Freddy Krueger in his mouth.
How much do you think he's practiced that move? Just, you know he's got a mirror at home where he does that. You know it. There's no way he doesn't. Anyway. There are only two of them in the world. Now there are a lot more than that in the world of brass knuckles with knives on them. Maybe those are custom made. But so what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I have anything, there's only one of in the world here. Yeah, this guy. There's only one of these in the world. Named, whatever we named him. DeWitt. We gave him a different first name, right? I don't remember. There's only one of these named what it's named. I mean, it doesn't make him special, though. It makes him a lot of fun and kind of hilarious. But, you know. I don't know what that was. All right, something fell. I'll never find it. It's fine. And therefore, not a problem. I don't have to worry about it. I'll just never bear me DeWitt. That's better than what we thought of. Is that what we thought of? I feel. Oh, that's good. Oh, I'm mad. Yeah, no, there's 100% one of those. There's not two of those. Did I say one? Look, there's a lot going on here. I'm very distracted by it. Fool. Oh no, I'm sure there are tons. I don't think I've ever seen anyone wear this, but there more have to exist. This wasn't like a one-time thing. How could it? You know, I mean, come on. Let's keep going.
This nigga, man.
Cuz you a black angel, cuz. Cuz you a black angel, cuz.
I bet you can't hit a backflip.
Look at the size. Oh, what's that? A 44 Magnum with a scope. Why? Why? What practical reason? I'm going to sit here. Folks, think of a practical reason. I'll sip my apple juice. TC. What a waste of a revolver. Yeah, like for competition shooting, sure. Right? That is a thing. But stop it. What security thing are you doing that requires a scope? Can't think of a single one. Unless you're, providing security to a venue, at which point you're probably on a rooftop with a rifle. Not with a revolver. Stop it. Just whack someone on the head with it when you run out of bullets. It has a limited amount of bullets. You're not wrong. Takes out a truck with one. No. Rooftop Koreans. Yes. Anyway. What else do you got, Wolf? Stop brandishing it in public. Come on.
That shit right there kill an elephant.
What's going on with his hand?
That nigga got the first gun to kill the devil.
What does he have like a? I can't.
That
No.
nigga got a
Check that shit.
What are you showing us, sir?
That boy got this scope.
Oh, oh yeah, just point it at yourself. Smart man. Yep. Yeah. Hey, look at my gun. Hey, check out that scope real quick. This man was in the army. He deployed to Iraq. What happened, man? Why? I can't. But I must.
Be on there.
man with the scope. With the
Night,
oh my
night,
God.
heat, infrared heat. Nigga, he killed the dinosaurs, goddamn.
I love how the crowd's just not like, yeah, he's a dollar store, man, like getting all this stuff crazy, right? They're looking at him like he's crazy too. And I'm sure he's dressing up like this to look intimidating and stuff. No one's intimidated by that. They see a crazy man and say, hey, that dude needs to interact with the police. Or the police need to interact with him. Unless, of course, they know him in the area. I'm not saying he's a bad dude. I'm not saying he's a nice guy and fun to hang out with. He's probably really chill and has all sorts of crazy fun stories. But if I did not know who he was, I would probably call the police on him and say, so there's this dude brandishing a revolver with a scope. He's got a katana in his jacket. He's got a bunch of badges on him. I don't suppose that he belongs to one of your police departments, does he? And if they weren't like, oh, that's Wolf. Yeah, he's fine. And they went, oh, no. Right? Like, this is a problem. Yeah. Infrared heat. Did he say infrared heat? I don't even know. Oh, I can't even process it.
He killed the dinosaurs.
He can't even figure out the holster to put it back. Look, you have a gun. I expect you to know how to use it. To include drawing it out of a holster, putting it back in the holster. In this case, the shoulder holster. By the way, folks, I used to rock a shoulder holster. They're awful. They are not good. They look cool, which is why I wore. Actually, let me tell you the story because it's a good story. I got to tell you the story. So, we carried the SIG P228, and I carried it in sort of my right side, closer to the back than to the side, in a concealed carry holster. And I had a sergeant. I forget his name. I remember his face. I don't remember his name. Who was like really mad at me for having that holster in the concealed carry, like tucked into the pants, whatever. And he said, you can't do that because you've never practiced with like that on the range. And you can't have a holster that you have not practiced with in qualification. I said, no, this is the exact one I use. I used it last time. He goes, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. We would have stopped you. And, well, you didn't. And I'm pretty sure you were there. So I don't know what to tell you, but this is the holster I use. And this is the holster that I'm going to use. Sucks to be you. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I'm an MPI. You're an MP. You're not in charge of me. I was obviously much more professional than that, but I was like, I don't know what to tell you, dude, because I absolutely have. Don't call me a liar. And he went to my boss, and my boss is like, look, we don't want to start trouble. So don't wear that holster around him or just at all. And so I had like a paddle holster where it was outside of my pants as opposed to like tucked into the inside. And then I was told, well, you can't use that one either unless you wear a jacket. I'm like, it's summertime. I'm not wearing a jacket with also my button-down shirt and my body armor and all that stuff. I'm not putting a jacket over that as well. No. Like, well, it has to be concealed. It actually doesn't. There's no law requiring me on duty to have it concealed. Like, do the MPs have to have it concealed? No, that's ridiculous. And they went, well, we would like it because otherwise people can get confused. Like, why would they be confused? I carry my badge right next to my gun, specifically for that purpose, which is how that works. If you're carrying a gun out in the open and you are in plain clothes, you generally have your badge directly next to it. So when people see a gun, the very next thing they see is a badge, unless it's the opposite order. If you're wearing a jacket, you might wear it around your neck, etc., etc. So I was like, you guys are being dumb. I hate this. I hate what's going on. I'm going to play this game, and I'm going to play it to my benefit. And I went to the NCO in charge of me, and I went, hey, so you know how you have that shoulder holster that you never wear? He goes, oh, yeah, you want to wear it? Like, someone should wear it. I went, yeah, I'd love to wear it. And so I did. I had this nice leather shoulder holster, and I, get my stuff there, and I would just wander around with it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, it's not super visible. My badge is right there. There's no way. And that same sergeant was like, you can't keep your gun in the back of your pants like that, schlepping down your butt crack. He did not say butt crack. I'm saying butt crack because children might be watching. He got really, really mad. And he was like, well, you can't wear that either. I went, show me the regulation. Because this is my third holster now, and I apparently can't wear any of them. Show me the regulation. And he couldn't. And I went, great, this is the one I'm wearing. And my NCO thought it was hilarious, so he backed me up on that. And I just wore it specifically to upset him. And since I was not a first responder, I was a second responder as an investigator, it wasn't a huge issue with safety. But generally, if you wanted to draw quickly, you'd have to push it over and draw because the body armor I was wearing made reach. Like, you really had to shove to displace the body. It was a whole thing. Anyway, so yeah, I wore a shoulder holster basically because out of spite. And I looked good in it. I rocked it real well, but I didn't like it. I would not recommend a shoulder holster absent specific things where it did become necessary. If you have the choice of that or other holsters, I would not make it the first choice. At least not for me. Anyway, oh yeah, in the car, great. Fantastic in the car. Excellent point. But, oh yeah, no, the sergeant was a pain, a real pain. He was very, very full of himself without really having the knowledge. The problem was he deployed a lot, but he wasn't very good at his job. He was kind of a pushover. All right, so the dude, what was his name? It's not going to matter. I remember his first name. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he was a bit of a pushover, but he did have a lot of experience. So he'd try to be like, I'm experienced, I know things, and then people would question it, and he'd just sort of fall apart. I did not care much for him. There were times where he should have defended me in my actions, where he just sort of went, ugh. I was like, you're garbage. We had a desk sergeant who was absolutely atrocious and garbage at his job. And he questioned me, and I said, no, per the regulation, because I have this terrible habit of reading things. And he went, no, screw you. You're not doing it like that. And I went, hey, Sergeant, you must have read the regulation. He just, it was a whole thing. It was a story not worth getting into, but shoulder holsters. There are times where they're useful, but in general, no. There's a little ramble for you.
Did you pick it up on the floor when I hit the table? I think I did.
Uh-oh. All right, what we got? What is that? Is that another knife? Is that a switchblade? I think that's a switchblade. That's the end of the video. I'm fairly certain that's a switchblade, which in some places is also illegal. So, yeah. Rennie, what are you talking about? What? What? What are we talking about? What was it? Something about what? I don't know what we're talking about. It's fine, though. I think I do know what we're talking about. Oh, man, corrections, Rekieta Law. Someone cited Rekieta Law to me, saying, like, oh, COVID's not real. Check out Rekieta Law. I'm like, well, share the video. And they're like, I can't. I don't know anything about Rekieta Law, other than someone tried to use him for that. For something where it didn't apply at all. It was not law-related. But for those of you who don't know, I very much enjoy telling anti-vaxxers who are being stupid that they're being stupid. There are times where it does make sense to be anti-vax, generally if it's a vaccination would conflict with an existing medical issue, or if you live in the middle of a swamp with nothing but a donkey as a friend and don't get any visitors. I understand that, right? But there are certain things specifically where people are getting numbers very, very wrong, or just making things up that are insane. And I like to tell them that they're wrong and watching them just explode. It's a thing. There's a guy on one of my on a community post who I've been calling a sheep. And I don't look good doing it out of context, but he went after me real hard and then came to my channel. I'm like, all right, cool. You want to call me a sheep? Let's go. I try to be nice. I try to be friendly, but you attack me. Gloves are off. Let's go. It's a terrible habit. I really shouldn't do it. But goodness, does it make me, does it entertain me? But, Glenn Serio. Yes. Good old Glenn Serio. How to use your iPhone camera with your duty weapon to guarantee a first-round kill shot. Have I seen the video where a cop puts 9 rounds into an elderly guy riding a mobility scooter? I have, yes. I'm very far behind. Yeah, I probably am. Yes, I understand the guy had a knife, and I understand drawing, the weapon, but he's in a wheelchair. I think he's wearing enough clothing that a taser would not have been effective. But on the other hand, the dude isn't very mobile. Grab the back of the wheelchair and tip it over. I understand shooting someone with a knife. Not a problem. Especially in defense of others. I got it. Yeah. A lot of people don't... I've talked to a lot of people who don't realize that a police officer can shoot someone when someone else's life is in danger to defend that other person. I think we've had that conversation here on this channel. And sure, he was preparing to endanger lives. He was going to a crowded store with a knife. He had been very aggressive about it. But this isn't... If the guy had been on foot and running, I probably would have found it likely to be justifiable based on my own training experience. But a wheelchair moving at that speed with the guy's mobility being what it was, no, I can't defend that, unfortunately. And I think it's a case of someone who was thinking, guy with a knife, going to a crowded place, they're a threat. I'm going to save some lives, and he just didn't think, and he jumped to the final option when there were other options, and he had time to figure it out. So I absolutely believe firing him was the right choice, because you don't want someone to make that kind of choice and still be in the department. And I'm sure they're reviewing it to determine whether or not charges can be filed based on the circumstances. But yeah, not good. Yeah. If he had a gun, in that wheelchair, different story. But a knife? Nah. I mean, OC him so that he's blind. And then tip the chair over. Grab the arm. Put him in an arm bar. Use joint manipulation and leverage. And just can't be that. You had 2 people. In a person standing up, that would be very difficult. A person sitting down? And I'm not saying that's a good option. I wasn't there. I don't know. But there are things you could have considered, I think, that would have been effective. And they just weren't used. Yeah, it was a bad call. It was a bad call. 100%. But, yeah. Lilith says, pretty sure I read criminal charges were being brought. I hope so, honestly. We can't, as law enforcement, be making those mistakes. That's a big one. I get it. I understand the thought process, but it's the wrong thought process. Yeah. Just no. Just no. All right, want to go over another video, guys? I got a good one for you. Someone shared with me a while back. I'm meaning to get around to it, but yeah. Anyway, this is American Defense Enterprises. And I don't know what their deal is, but their comments are brutal. Oh, boy, are their comments good. And before we watch the video, let's go over what we can expect, huh? Yes, I think Sky Pope knows what this is about. 28 plus years of military, law enforcement, and international training on projects all over the world. I've never seen such comical representation of bad training in my life. Someone else says, Jesus Christ. It's a wonder there are not blue-on-blue incidents because of your poor weapons handling. Blue-on-blue, by the way, is friendly on friendly, basically. Blue being our forces. And then you have green being other forces? Allied forces? Is it allied forces or just local national forces? Or is it just for the Middle East? I don't actually know. I just know Blue 4 and Op 4. Op 4 being oppositional forces and Blue 4 being blue forces. Unless I'm wrong, which would be embarrassing because this is live. But not something I really ever paid too much attention to. It's fine. Green is just friendly. Okay. But not like our own. Got it. All right. You'd think I'd know that. Not ever something I really needed to know. There's a lot in the military I just don't know because I never needed to know it. And people are always shocked. Like, sorry. But, yeah. Pat, if I throw this in a fire, I'm just getting a better one. We're upping it. It's like a phoenix rising from the flames. It just gets worse. All right, Patrick confirms blue on blue is U.S. versus U.S. Yes, that I know. The green, I just couldn't remember it was allied or if it was specifically Middle Eastern, because I've only actually heard it referred to as Middle Eastern, I think. But that's a different story. As we hear about green on blue, where Middle Eastern soldiers get mad at us while we're training them. And just... But I digress. Let's go over this. You know how I ramble. It's great. The Jagger won't burn is infused with the soul of the devil himself. Immune to fire. Red versus blue is Halo. Oh, that's loud. All right, so we're going to be going over just how terrible this is. Some of it's good. A lot of it's terrible. So they have... Oh, I'm like at the end. What am I doing here? All right. Moving on. ADE. If you want to shoot like a professional, you need to train with professionals. It helps. I don't know that they're professional, though. Where Hakes? Oh, Aaron, thank you so much. Says, try Tipsy Elves for Great Ugly Christmas. Oh, I have a great next stream. If it's before the conclusion of the holiday. Oh, don't look at that. That's just apple juice. I will be wearing... Don't look at my apple juice. No. I will be wearing an ugly Christmas sweater. Oh, goodness, is it ugly. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I don't care about what you're wearing. Oh, look at yeah, so tactical. Oh, you PowerPoint transition. Hold on, what do they got on the guns? All right, so right-handed. I want to believe that. Let me go here. This person isn't actually left-handed. Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, left-handed. They just did it so it looked better. I could be wrong. Hold on, let me dug out of the way there. You see the finger on the finger on the trigger, or on near the trigger, indicative of left-handed because it's their left hand. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Left. Got it. Yeah. It's just like, oh, so tactical. Like, you're not telling me anything. You're just telling me you know how to pose in front of a camera. What else we got? Okay. We got what looks to be an AR style weapon with a big old scope on it, pointing away from the targets, looks like. I think the targets are behind her. I don't know. It's a thing. It's fine. I don't know what kind of scope that is. That's not your normal ACOG, is it? No, of course it isn't, because it's got the red. Dude, did ours have red? No, they didn't. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I mean, it checks out. It looks fine. How's the stance? Looks okay. I'll take it. All right. Flashlight on the side. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. All right. Same thing with the scope. The buttstock looks collapsed in, which is not a problem if you train that way. I don't know. That feels like a small... There's that round ejecting there. I don't know. This is 5.56. It looks short. Maybe that's just the angle. I don't know. There's no reason for me to be going over this. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, kick to the chest. Bleh. Okay. Weird. It's for something with that kind of barrel length, that's a pretty short barrel length to be grabbing to kick. And why is that guy? So, okay, if you're the guy being kicked, why are both of your hands not on the gun? First of all, you should be doing everything you can to get your other hand on the gun to maintain control of it. You're being kicked in the chest. It's a very high kick. So, maintaining balance, a little challenging. If you're going to kick someone, why are you going for the chest? Go for the knees. I'm just saying, makes a lot of sense to go for the knees. They're fairly delicate. What is he doing with his right hand, the guy doing the kicking? Like, this just seems wrong. This is not, if I were to like train people on this, it would be, yeah, sure, grab the rifle and go for the knees, but you're going to want to be closer because that barrel is not long enough to get, inside of its reach. If that sweeps across you and fires, you're dead, right? I don't care what body armor you're wearing. Even something designed to protect against rifle rounds at that close range, there is a chance that it's just going to go through or, do some damage, if not a full penetration. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. Griff Kai, also good point. If that dude just brings up his left hand, the guy being kicked, and grabs that foot and just, right? The guy's on the ground. This is not... it looks cool. A lot of the stuff that these security companies will sell you on is stuff that looks cool, not stuff that's practical. Because the people paying for security are generally not people who have ever done security. And it's kind of like the CSI effect with law enforcement. In law enforcement, a lot of people believe that what they see on CSI is what the reality of policing is. And so there are times where I have been out doing my police stuff where I have exaggerated things or I've done things that are completely useless because people seeing it, witnesses, victims, subjects, whatever, see it and they go, that's what I've seen on TV. This guy must be really competent. And if I'm not doing that, they might say, wait a second, how do I know he knows what he's doing? There's a lot of mind games. There's a lot of psychology to being an investigator, since a lot of your information doesn't necessarily come from evidence, although that is great. A lot of it comes from people. And so if you can convince someone that you are good at what you do, the moment you walk onto a crime scene, without having to establish it with your actual, the reality of the investigation, you are leaps and bounds ahead of an investigator who's not doing that. I've had incredible success. Let me give you a demonstration because it's great. All right, walk into a crime scene. First thing I do, sergeant or specialist, whoever is on scene. Like, hey, officer, whatever, show me around the crime scene what's been happening so far. And so I'm making contact with them. I'm giving them an order. I'm someone who is dressed in plain clothes. So obviously, I must be important. They don't even know what I am. So they're going to make their own assumptions. Probably, oh, there's a badge, so he must be an investigator. He's more important than them. One, because he doesn't have to wear the uniform. He might be a civilian, who knows. And second, he's giving them orders? Oh, no. This guy is, right? That's first. That's easy. That's what everyone should be doing. This is where it gets good. You walk in to the house. Let's say it's domestic. And you go, all right, the officer is, the MP is telling you what's going on, what they have so far. And you sort of, okay, yeah, okay. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Now, anyone watching that is like, what did he just notice? Is it because it's dusty and therefore I don't know how to clean my house and therefore I don't have the military discipline? Or maybe if a child's involved, like, oh, maybe I'm a bad parent because I can't clean have a clean house. It's nothing. It's literally just, interesting. Okay. Literally nothing. It's meaningless. I just do it so that people are like, what did he see? Nothing. I didn't see anything. But you think I did. And it sounds so stupid, but it works. Or I'll look at something like, oh, there's a picture frame. What do these two things have to do with each other? Nothing. But now you're wondering, what does he see? What Sherlock Holmes machinations are running through his brain? None. I'm a big dumb person. But do I know how to manipulate people psychologically? And it sounds dumb, and obviously I'm exaggerating it, but there are things like, oh, tell me about wait a second. Okay, I'm sorry, please continue. What did I just hear? Nothing. But they think that I did, because why would I be pretending on a real crime scene? So obviously, I'm more attentive than they are, and nothing gets by me. It's a thing. I am very much exaggerating, yes. But Now you know. In case anyone was wondering what shenanigans. I got yelled at for giving training on that in front of the brigade commander, I think. And so we had a security camera in our guard mount room, which is basically like the beginning shift briefing room. Different departments call it different things. And so all they saw was me, hand gesturing on camera. They're like, why are you making a fool of yourself in front of the commander? I went, I just gave the best training he's ever seen in his life. And he loved it. He was like, I've never thought, oh my God, like, oh, how engaging, how interesting. Very strange. Who taught you that? I was like, I don't know. It just made sense and it worked. So I kept doing it. He was like, oh, okay, great. And then we never spoke of it again. But I kept doing it. But someone yelled at me, like, why are you making a fool on the camera? Like, you didn't hear the audio. It was great. He liked it. Anyway, so yeah. You know I love to ramble. Yeah, so whatever happened here, yeah. Right? If this dude did get the rifle, he's carrying pistol magazines. Presumably he also has a pistol. Right? At that point, let him do it. Draw the pistol, and then you fire at the dude because he's just taking your weapon. He's a direct threat to you. The threat is imminent. He has the means. He has the opportunity. Presumably has the motive. It's a whole thing. So, Pat Geta is basically what it is. It's just you subtly, not obviously, but it's subtle, where you pretend to make connections between things as if it's real evidence. Right? You don't. It doesn't affect the investigation anyway. You don't let it take any time out of it. But it's just this little bit of body language so that they assume that you are competent and know more than they do. And so then when you start asking questions, they might be less likely to lie to you because they think that you are able to observe things that they can't. So it's more complicated than that, and it goes into, there's a psychology to it. But it is a tactic. It's something that I would recommend investigators to look into on their own because it's great. It's a whole thing. All right, let's keep going on whatever this nonsense is. Okay, so they're doing some weird grapple. Okay, that is like a judo throw. There are times where that'd be useful. Fine, cool, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna break this down a couple times. I'm gonna let you watch it, and then I'm gonna do it slowly. Okay, so that magazine dump wasn't bad. That is something some people do, is they'll jerk their weapon down while hitting the mag release button. I think that's a Glock. Sure. Okay, cool. My problem was with the stance and the follow through. And let me just back it up to somewhere. Hold on a second. Oh, maybe she is left-handed. Yeah, that's fine. It's whatever. Don't worry about me. Is there... Okay, now the qualities can be stupid bad no matter what. And we go super slow. And we back it up. Okay. So first of all, drawing with your hand already there, wait. Oh no. I'm sorry. It's the other hand. I'm just confused. Okay, so her hand's basically already on the gun. We would always train, you start with your hands here, because this is sort of your general police stance. Because if someone comes at you, don't do it, right? And also, it's pretty close to your weapon if you want to try. Also, if you're wearing a dumb shoulder holster like I used to, it's so easy, right? Anyway, that feels cheap. That's what that feels like. Yeah, the stance doesn't look very stable. I mean, I'm pretty easy on stances. There are a lot of people who are like, I've trained this specifically, and like, it has to be this. I'm pretty relaxed about, slight variations in training. So basically, if you trained on it, if this is what you trained on, and you trained on it well enough, would it be effective for you as an individual? Not necessarily for anyone else trying it right out of the gate, right? And once you sort of accept that, like, okay, as long as it's something that can be trained, that would be effective if you trained on it repeatedly, you can sort of be a lot more forgiving. There are a lot of people who are not forgiving about it, and it's just like, calm down, right? There's so much variation in training. You can't pick a specific one. It really depends on how much have you trained on it. So, is she spinning in the wrong direction? No. For what she's doing, which is drawing and then flaring behind her, But here's the thing. Hold on, we'll do it slow. She gives the nod, I assume, because someone's like, "You ready?" Okay. We didn't get a heads up. It was, shooters. I mean, I guess we did have ready. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just making stuff up at this point and getting it wrong. All right. She gets the signal. The hand does come up, which isn't bad. When I'm firing one-handed during training, I've only ever fired one-handed during training. I do put my hand here because generally if you're firing one-handed, it's because someone's very, very close to you. And so let me demonstrate sort of how that would look. So we don't like turn around and do it from behind the back. But if you're shooting one-handed from maybe 5 meters at most, you have your stance, and then target, or whatever the word is for engage the target, you drop a hand down. I keep my hand here. A lot of people do. First of all, it keeps the hand out of the way so you don't accidentally put it in front of the muzzle. And also, if someone does charge at you, you still have a barrier that you can put out. You can grab them if they have a collar and try to redirect their motion, or at the very least, if they're moving too hard, too fast, you can put an arm out and try to maintain enough distance to pull out the gun and fire. So there are a couple ways that we do practice firing. The MPs, not as much. MPs generally practice firing there. I know when I was training with CID, they do practice with the hip, because at the very least, you do want to be able to fire here. So if your target's basically on top of you, you're going to pull and rotate out. That's the first thing you want to do. Pull and rotate out and get ready to grab them, because if they're running at you, they're going to fall on you. So at the very least, that's another reason you'd want. There's a lot of reasons to keep the hand here, right? And boom, you fire twice and then reholster. Or pull it out, bring it up here, right? There are a lot of situations, if they're close, you're not putting it out here, because then they can just grab your gun and take it from you. And if we do end up going over Detroit threat management, that is something that a lot of his training on how to disarm people, specifically someone where the gun is like right on you, which is not what, if you're the person holding the gun, I'm not trying to teach you how to commit crimes. You don't want that gun within their reach, because if they can't reach the gun, they can't take it from you, right? It makes sense. So you draw it, you put it here, and then you push out, right? And so that way, no matter where you are when your target gets to you, you always have a shot on them. You don't want to be swinging up like that, because it's just, if they smack it down, you bring it, you rotate it, you put it up, and you always you can fire it, boom, 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 at any point. And then for that really stable stance, Weaver, isosceles, one of the two, either way, both good stances. Don't remember which one is which off the top of my head. Yeah, or at least I'm not a firearms instructor. I just got taught a bunch of stuff once upon a time, right? And then you can have that real stable stance. And then if you have to reload, you can reload in your workspace. It's a whole thing. We would not fire behind us, right? What you would do is you would draw and pivot, which is probably faster than trying to figure out how to aim from back here. Is you draw and pivot. Takes a quarter of a second. So she is not doing that. They have some weird ass training where, first of all, her stance is terrible because you're going to be off balance. You're going to have a less stable shooting position because you're shooting one-handed, and you're also aiming behind you. And it's good luck getting that sight picture quickly. And she does not get the sight picture quickly. So it's just like from that distance, if you spun around, you could shoot from here and you're going to hit, right? You give me a target within 3 meters, I can't miss from the hip. I don't know what I'm shooting at because I don't have sights down the sights. You know what I'm saying? But boom, you cannot miss that, which is why when you first pull it out of the holster, your first move should be to point it towards your target in a situation where you are being charged by someone, essentially, if they're that close. If it's more like, hey, man, I need you to drop that knife, you can take your sweet, sweet time until they start running at you, if that makes sense. Anyway, I hate this with a passion. I don't know if you've noticed. So she turns. There's a weird thing with her elbow, which I don't like because it's just like if someone did get to her, first of all, grab the wrist, rotate the elbow, and she will go down, right? That's a classic. I'm not saying you could. I'm just saying it's flip-flopping all over the place. She doesn't have she has control here. She has some control here. Very little control in the between. If someone's coming up on you at a speed with which you didn't have time to pivot, grab the wrist. If you have that kind of fine motor control, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I mean, there are other ways. You could just like wrap your arm around and bring her down and gain control. It would not be as good if you manage to get the wrist, but that's if you can grab the wrist in the first place. And you just rotate that arm. You could just snap the arm at that point, or at least pop it out of the socket. It's terrible. It's just awful. So it's a terrible situation to train for. This is not something that's practical, but it looks cool to potential buyers. Not to anyone who has any experience in this, but some businessman who wants some security when they like travel to India or something, right? This is going to look really cool. To anyone with real experience, no. Not to say that they don't have some stuff that is actually pretty good. This is not one of them. All right, we keep doing that. She brings it up, not even to her eyes. Her eyes, if you see my mouse there, are looking here. Her gun doesn't even come up to there. So it's basically the same as just shooting from the hip. At which point, if you can, cross draw wouldn't really make sense, but like you could shoot from the there's just so much wrong that it's just like, this is not your best option. It's not. And then she shoots, and she shoots again, and she again does not have much control with her arm. You see it just jerk. And to be fair, this might be like a 45, 40, what it might have a bit of a kick, sure, fine. But like, and then she pivots? No, you have time to pivot. If that makes sense. They're getting one of those for sure. And then she turns and still doesn't have the weapon on target and still down at the chest, where she at no point is aimed at the target. And there are times, sure, you don't have to because you're that close. But it kills me, right? If you're firing, cool. Then bring it up and aim down. Check. And make sure, that you're not getting tunnel vision. Very, very important. I don't know if she does. James, thank you so much, by the way. James says, this looks like a James Bond opening credits reel. Kind of does, doesn't it? Does she look around? No, she reloads first before finding out if her environment is safe. And you can reload. If you're practiced with a weapon, if you know what you're doing, you can reload blindly, doing whatever. But nope, she watches it go down for whatever reason. If she reloaded while checking, got it. Not a problem. But nope, before checking her environment to make sure there are no other threats, because a threat just snuck up on her. So she doesn't know what's in her environment because someone just got real sneaky close to her. She doesn't check. Stop it. Also, I don't like it's a thing, right? There are times where reloading by hitting the magazine eject and chucking the weapon to make it zoop, cool. What I do, because I like to keep my weapon here where it can do something, is I turn it and I generally pull that magazine out, because the last thing I want is hit the eject and nothing to happen. Because if you're in a sandy environment, if you're in a dirty environment, that magazine gets stuck, right? And you're just like, oh, I got a magazine in my hand, but this one didn't come out, and right? Like I gotta beat it with the other. No, I rotate it. I can see my weapon with one eye, and I can look at my environment with the other. I grab it, and as I throw it, I reach around, load another one back in, and depending on the weapon, I'll either have a slide release lever, which will release a slide, which I think this one might have, or I'll rack that slide back to load in the new round. If anyone is not familiar with guns, please stop me and say, what are you talking about? And maybe I'll be able to explain. But I should just open up a school for this stuff. And be like, no. Let's put all of the pieces together, how I would do it. Oh, target behind me. Rotate. Bang, bang. Cool, right? Look around, do whatever, etc. It's just, Terrible. Hate it. All right, let's keep going. What else does she do? All right, there's the ejection. At no point has she looked around. Slaps the magazine. That's good. You know, you got to seat it properly. And there is a slide release that she's hitting with her thumb. Index finger? With her index finger? I mean, if you have smaller hands, I can understand that. But James K. Don't wait. Got it. You gotta pull it in. All right. If anyone is familiar with flintlock rifles, that was spot on. I'm going to break it down for you because it amuses me. All right, you have your rifle. You got to reload your rifle. You get your little tinder box, your ammo box, probably right here. You take out a wad of pre-packaged bullet and ammo. You tear it off with your teeth. And you pour it down the barrel. All right? You slide your little ramrod out of the bottom of your rifle. And then you flip it and you ram the ball down because it wants to be pretty tight to seat properly. Put that ramrod back in. You have a little bit of powder left. You don't want to pour all the powder. You need a little bit more because you have a little thing on the side I can't remember the name of, where the flint strikes to ignite the powder. And you pour it into that little thing there, and then you cock it back. It's probably half cocked already, depending on what your preference is. And then you're ready to fire. Takes 20 seconds to a minute, depending on how good you are. Or you could use a powder horn and not have the pre-measured shot. That is also a fair point. That is also a very, very fair point, where you just pour it in and say, hope this won't blow up my... Lord and Savior, One of these days I am going to thank you, by the way. One of these days I am going to get a flintlock because they're so much fun. They're so much fun to shoot. Once you've fired enough guns, it's just, yep, putting ammo out. Yep, all right, cool. But a flintlock, you have to make it count. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And also, going to the range with a flintlock, I saw someone do it once. I'm like, this guy right here. Fire Rider, thank you so much, by the way, says, hey, boss, I have a video from a defensive shooting I was involved in while working in house loss prevention in Charlotte, North Carolina. Would love to get in contact with you to get it to you for public education. Oh, I'd love to see that. sergeantbluebacon@gmail.com. I don't check my email that much. If you send it to Rennie, actually, if she's feeling generous, she might put her email down. She might take that. She might put it down there for you to send it to her. I'd love to check that out. I did say Remrod, yes. Flintlocks are great for self-defense because if you miss, their face is still on fire and neither of you can see. It's called the pan. Yes, the pan. Oh, that feels right. That sounds right. They're so much fun. I had a history teacher that used to hunt exclusively with like replica 1700 flintlocks, like Revolutionary War. And he used to go hunting with it, and apparently it was like the best. Cap and ball is more. I mean, yes, cap and ball is more convenient than a flintlock, but 5.56 is more convenient than a cap and ball. Cap and ball, by the way, in Lilith Rose, thank you so much for bringing this up. That's more Civil War onwards until we got to some other stuff. You'll see they'll put the rounds in, they'll ram it, and instead of pouring the powder into the pan, they have a little percussive cap that they'll stick in, which is really cool. It's a great idea. Obviously not as good as modern rifles, but it's a whole thing. So let's keep going. You know how much I love to ramble and get distracted. It's what I do. It's why you guys watch. What are you talking about? Let's go normal. Normal speed. Okay, now she checks behind her. Come on. No. We got a whole bunch of people doing their thing. All right. I don't hate it. So they pull, fire one-handed, bring it to two. Sure. But if you're that close and you're not looking down the sights, fire from here. You don't have as much stability. Now, you are close to the target, so maybe you're more likely to hit. But if you're going to be training tactically, you should be able to hit from here at that. Like, you should know where your weapon is pointing. Let's watch that again. Okay. Brings the hand up. I do like that. Let's slow this down, and I'll get out of your way. We'll do half speed. Okay. And this one just immediately shoots before. Like, she's still extending. Okay. I don't really have a problem. It's just, it feels like an accident. It might not be. It really, I don't know her well enough as a shooter to really be like, what was that? But fires, hand on the gun. If you have time to put it out there, you have time to put it out there, right? Like, you'd think. But it's not horrible. This one's not as bad as the last one. It will be effective. It's just not how I would train, and that's why I'm all grumpy about it. It's really not that bad. And let's see. I think, did they fire 2 shots? They're looking backwards, which is nice. I think that was 2 shots. That was a quick 2 shots. Good for them. James, thank you so much. Says, this class is dressed like they just killed a Punisher's family. Oh, yes. No, they're all black tactical because they got to look good for their training video. All right. Oh, there's a backwards thing. We get a better look at it. Sorry, I'm still in the way. You know how I do. No, that's not what I want. I want the speed. Playback speed will do 25. All right, draw. And just, like, look at those weak little arms. Like this, in the back there, fires and then turns. And that's a slow, like, they fired, paused, and then, ugh. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, dude, stepping in front of the firing line? Where are you looking? In front of you? Yeah, you have peripherals, dude. Look behind you. This lady right here, yes, she's looking in the right direction. What? I don't think this guy looked at all. The same spinny thing. I hate it. It is painful to watch. It's the worst. I don't think there's anything that needs to be said that hasn't been said. All right. I mean, that guy had a nice reload, though. Watching his hand drop down, he got that real quick. More spinning. I still hate it. Everything. Yeah, right there. Oh, that was a quick reload. Okay. We're going to... Hold on. I need to see that full speed again. Don't hate it. I don't hate that. His stance is good. It's very stable. He is... he's got a good grip on that weapon right there. His thumb's a little high, but that's fine. And you do want to gain distance. You want to gain space. It's very, very important. Because, again, like I said, you don't want that weapon in someone else's reach. So if you're firing at someone, not bad to be walking backwards. You got to train on it, though, because as you take steps, and his knees are bent in a way that's going to minimize the bobbing of the body. But as you take steps, your weapon's going to move with you. And so you do have to train to shoot while walking. And I've trained to shoot, and I was garbage shooting and walking when I first started doing it. And it really, you get used to it. You get good at it. This guy looks like he's trained. He might be an instructor for all I know. His turn, if you're, it wasn't bad. Right? Hand goes up, and he brings it up and is firing, and he quickly enough brings it over. It wasn't that weird backwards thing. From the side, I'll give it to him. It's fine. John, if you have any questions, tell me to stop, and hopefully I see it, and I'll try to answer anything about it. But that I will accept. Mostly because he rotates his body. If he had just, continued to sidestep, or whatever they were doing with that weird backwards thing, no, but he rotates his body fast enough that I really don't have too much of a problem with this. And he checks behind him real quick. Love it. Good. Oh, boy. Oh. Okay, so immediately... See, that's what you spin. You rotate your entire body. Love it. Shot. That's good training. That is, basically you have quick target acquisition. So basically the idea is you're facing away from them and you turn to engage and you have to shot. You put 2 in the chest. Some training might be 2 in the chest, 1 on the head. It really depends. A lot of departments or a lot of agencies, it really looks bad if you train to shoot people in the head because that's generally, you don't want a small target. It might miss and hit someone in the background. I don't know. Military, there are certain units that do train specifically on that. Generally, special forces will train, but I mean, these people are firing thousands of rounds a day, so they're very, very good. They will literally shoot around people. They'll have someone down by the targets that they have to shoot around. That's how good they are, and it's terrifying, and that terrifies me because I do not have that skill. If I had that skill, maybe I would be more accepting of it. But that what we just seen right there, that's fine. That's good training, good target acquisition training. Love it. Any checks behind him? Excellent. Okay, well that's just dangerous. Trying to shoot while firing, or while falling, excuse me. Maybe not bad, but why would you have someone behind you? I get it if it's like, oh, you need to shoot around your buddy. That's some dangerous stuff. I can't be too mad at it because I believe there is military training for certain military units that has similar stuff. I cannot comment on it, but having seen what they've already trained on, I'm not a huge fan. It's not bad. It looks great. And if you're able to shoot around your friends, sure. Because there are situations where maybe that would be necessary. Maybe. I'll give it a pass. I hate it. But I can comprehend that there might be situations. It kills me that a civilian agency, outside of like SWAT, right? Which like a private civilian agency would train on this. Let's slow it down. Ugh. Oh, ugh. Do half speed. Drops. Okay, his drop's not bad. He does extend his arm to catch himself. That's a fine drop. I have been trained on falling, actually, weirdly. How to fall most effectively to recover fastest. And that's not a bad fall. Shooting one-handed, brings it up, and he finds a stable-ish position. Okay. But this... I'm sorry, you can't really see what he's doing. But this... that's just dangerous. I get it. For certain people, for certain agencies, this is good training. I don't think that this is the kind of agency that needs this. Okay. Let's speed this back up. Why? Why are you hip, turn, hip? Hip. When you're firing from the hip, fire and bring it up as you turn, right? Okay, look at this. We're going to slow it down because I just can't. I can't, folks. I can't. Grabs it, fires from a sort of hip-ish, like, In the time it took her to... Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I keep doing this. All right. Guns up. Fires. Engage the second target. There is no reason that other hand should not be meeting that pistol as she rotates in the direction of her hand. No reason. Let's do it again. Should be. I mean, and she takes a solid amount of time to engage that first target. I mean, we're watching in slow motion. I get it. But while that's happening, other hand. Yeah. Come on. And sure, okay, so there's training with this would be very, very useful if you're shot in the arm, you're shot in the hand, your hand does not work. Being able to shoot one-handed, sure, but this is not what that training is because she brings up her other hand and continues whatever this course of fire is. So that's not what this training is. Does not make sense. Let's see where she runs off to. Why is her gun pointed at her knees? What? And maybe it's off to the side. But here's the thing. If you're in a target-rich environment, where it has become necessary to shoot people, you better be running with that gun ready to go. Not over here somewhere. What are you going to do over here somewhere? Stop it. Move like this. Oh, come on. Oh, James actually brought up the could it be another arm is disabled drill? No, because her arm isn't disabled in this. I'm glad you brought that up, though. There is a delay between you guys seeing what I'm saying and me reading your comments. So I assume we kind of thought of it at the same time. Well done. And then she runs around here, and I would say her feet are too close together. You want a little bit of a wider stance, my personal preference. If she trains that way and she can do it, okay, fine, maybe, whatever. But it looks like they're a little close. Oh, God, the noise of this, the audio just at half speed. All right, so not good. Not just kind of a dumb training. There are good aspects of it, but I don't think they should be combined. Let's see what he's got. Shot, shot, shot. All right, so there's target, target, target. That's fine. No problem there. Runs to the... Wait a second. He didn't do it one-handed. See? Smart man. That makes sense. All right. Runs, engage the second target, or fourth target, fifth, and sixth, seventh, a lot. There were a lot. That was good. I feel like that was probably an instructor because it was well done. He engaged quickly. It looks like he engaged accurately. He moved well. He didn't do anything that was incredibly stupid. I will give him the pass on that. I mean, it looks like a very fun course. James, I absolutely agree, but it's just, there's so much about it where I'm just like, really? Why are you training on that? Why are they so close to the targets? I mean, that is something you would train on. With pistol, often with pistol, if you're using your pistol, you're pretty close to the target. You don't generally, from a security standpoint, engage at a long distance with a pistol. Because if you're working security, let's say you're protecting a specific person, right? If they're far enough away, you're probably more likely to move them out of the way as opposed to engaging the enemy, right? Because they're also going to have trouble hitting you with their bullets at a distance. Pistols are not very accurate past 50 meters. And they are pretty close. And there is training where, you know, I'm sure we're not seeing all the training they're getting, whatever, you know. But if they're doing, like, building security, I can't imagine why they would be training like this. If they're, like, special operations militia, then they're not that good. Yeah, TC says, fun until you do that fall down thing and the guy behind you shoots during his draw. Yeah, which is why, like, there are times where that would be an effective thing to do in a real world setting. I would be very nervous to do it in training because things can go wrong so quickly. But, yeah. All right, a little slow. It's fine. All right, same drill, not really. Oh! There's another guy shooting targets here. Where do you come from, weirdo? Okay. I mean, sure. Again, they're teaching how to shoot around your other people. If you're doing it right, though, if you're doing your job as security or militia or whatever the heck they are, you're not having people weaving in and out of each other's line of sight. There are situations where that would happen, sure. But at their level, I very much hesitate to believe that this would be a thing that would be happening because of et cetera, whatever crazy reasons. Yeah, you be moving as a pair, almost certainly. That terrifies me. That's so dangerous. And to train as if that's something that should be happening, where one person's moving and another person's firing around them, no. Right? I can understand, like, for a stress test or a stress shoot, if you had like chalk rounds and you're both firing less lethal rounds and you were shooting around them to get them used to firing accurately while things are whizzing by you, I get it, right? In paintball, script Kai, exactly. But with live rounds, and maybe they are paint rounds or maybe they are chalk rounds, I don't know, but like, do not like. And there's a third guy. Oh my God, why? Why would you have one person running around, two other people shooting the targets around them? No. How are you entering buildings? How are you interacting with the targets and the enemies, the whatever? What situations are you in where this would be necessary? What kind of security, what kind of whatever are you doing? What kind of defense are you engaging in? Yeah, this being able to shoot around people, great. But as a training, there is much better training than this. Absolutely not. No. No. This, absolutely not. Unacceptable. Oh, I hate it so much. C-Town, thank you so much. Says, I have a suggestion. Northwest Pepperball Paintball fan meetup. I haven't done paintball in a while. My problem with paintball is that the balls don't, I always use rental equipment. I don't want my paintball guns, so like I have to arc my shots, and so I can't, it's a little frustrating because it's just like, I don't know how to be tactical anymore. But yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Laser tag. Because those shoot straight at least. That would be a lot of fun. No one dies, John. John, I think, is insinuating because it's on Live Leak. Someone dies. I don't think they die. I sure hope not. Oh, look at that. What the? Come on. Do you not have any more bullets to put in your gun, sir? Just, put out my knives. Are you serious? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Ninja. Oh, that terrible transition. It's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. You have a gun, sir. You're not carrying enough ammunition? What the hell? Stop it. Okay. What is about to go? Oh, God, no. Okay. I don't hate this one as much because they're not sort of in each other's line of sight. And it's more of a target acquisition drill. But it's choreographed. It's a dance. Like, this is not what would happen in real life. It looks cool to investors and people they're selling this to. But it's stupid in reality. This is a dance, right? So in target acquisition training, you don't necessarily want to know where the targets are. They obviously do. They say target 1, target 2, target 3, right? You hit these, you hit those, go, you spin, you engage. The idea is you can quickly engage the targets. For whatever reason, there are 2 of them, and it looks fancy. I get it, right? They are making a video to sell to people. Well, to sell their services to people. If you wanted to really prove to anyone who knew anything about this, you would have multiple targets and say 1, 3, 7, right? Go. And they boom, 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 or 1, 7, 3, or 6, 2, 4, right? Like you could show that they could engage targets on the fly. They don't know where they're going to be, right? Maybe you have pop-ups. This is just a choreographed dance that looks cool and is functionally not great. A child with a week of training could do this. Maybe, I don't know. That's probably exaggeration. I have no idea. Maybe less than a week. Maybe more. Maybe not a child. I don't know. This is just stupid. Tactically. Yeah, why are you holding it? I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point. Oh, okay. Boom, 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 boom. Lot of shooting. Oh, okay. We got a rifle. Okay, again, with the weird rotation thing. Rotate your body. Oh, okay. We're slowing it down. Don't rotate at the waist. That's stupid. Half speed. All right. He doesn't look like he's aiming down the sights. At that distance, I guess you don't really have to. Well, you know what? I'll give him a pass. I know I was all, sights. But like at that distance, not necessarily. It looks like he's holding the weapon fine. His stance is fine. He's leaning forward to account for the recoil. That's fine. Engages, and does that weird backward spin thing. Folks, you can rotate your feet. Like, so the Army, we do our about faces. Just about face with your body. Swing that leg out a little bit as you spin. Because you know you're going to spin anyway. Don't do this weird body thing. Just shoop. and engage. Because now your stance is god-awful. You might just fall over. You want that in the middle of a firefight? I promise you don't. That's bad news. You're getting one of those. Oh, and then kneels. Okay. Bang, 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 bang. See, standing to kneeling transition training, fantastic. That was just stupid. That weird spin thing. Oh, John. All right, you don't have to ask the question. All right. Let me give you some stuff. See if any of this makes sense. So he's got a rifle, right? I'll walk you through it because I'm assuming that people know things about gun, which isn't fair. What is this cable for? Oh, I don't know. All right, so pistol, shooting pistols, pretty simple stuff. They probably just have a target they're just putting lead into. It's fine. Okay, brings the weapon out. All right, so he's got his AR platform rifle, which is your Armalite rifle. It's styled after M4, M16. I've seen them use both, the M4 and the M16, which are rifles used by the United States Army. The M4 is more popular than the M16. M16 sort of being phased out. It has been for a while. Some units, National Guard, still use M16s because money, and they're not going anywhere enough where it makes sense to spend the money to get nice new rifles. M4, probably this AR shoots a 5.56 round, about yay big. A lot of powder, small projectile. The idea is it hits the body and it basically breaks up into small pieces, bleh, as opposed to something like an AK-47 or 74, something that the Russians would use or Middle Eastern soldiers would use because the AK is a pretty cheap rifle, or it can be. That uses a 7.62, which isn't really designed to disintegrate in the body and cause a lot of damage internally. It punches a hole through you. It's fun fact. Now we know. I don't know what their caliber is, caliber being the size of the round. But he pulls up the rifle to engage a target. All right. And let me get out of the way. He shoots. How many times did he shoot? One, two. So it looks like he's going center mass, chest, easiest part of the body to hit. Not a bad call. Shoots. And then, if you have a target behind you, so your stance is pretty important in shooting for stability, right? Because if you're not stable, you're not accurate, potentially, presumably, unless you get lucky. So he spins around with his torso, but look at his feet. Well, now you can't see it. Look at his feet. You see how they're all twisted up? He's like a second away from falling over. He engages the target and then turns back. There is no reason he couldn't have. Okay, sorry. He couldn't have just spun around with his feet as well, right? Just like took a step to the side to engage and then taken a step back and dropped into a kneeling stance. Now, a kneeling stance is great because you're more accurate kneeling than you are standing, and you're more accurate lying down than you are kneeling than you are standing. And so there are plenty of drills that you'll see all over the place where you're shooting, you're standing, bang, bang, bang. Drop, right? You take a knee, you continue to engage, right? So generally, if you have enemy contact, you want to return fire to hopefully get them to drop their heads down so that they can't see what they're shooting at, and then you might take a more stable position if you cannot get to cover, for example. Which is why this part of the training is great. Shooting to kneeling, great. I have no problem with that. I'd love to see them do shooting to running to prone. Prone being laying down, where you fire, run, for 3 seconds, drop down into a prone position and continue to engage. I don't think I've ever seen that actually done. I assume that training is done somewhere. Let's say this is your rifle. This is the butt stock. And, the enemy, bang, bang, run, about 3 seconds, or I'm up, they see me, I'm down drill. Some of you may recognize that. That's about, we'll go into that, right? You drop down to your knees, you extend the butt stock in front of you to catch your fall, and then you fall into the rifle and you can continue to engage. This is not the greatest tool to do this with. But, there are some great training that they could be implementing, that they're almost touching. I'm up, they see me, I'm down, is the amount of time it generally takes the enemy to acquire the target and fire at you, right? So if you're undercover, enemy shooting, they can't get through the sandbags you're behind, but you need to get over to those sandbags or that bunch of rocks. you have about 3 to 5 seconds, which is why this is also called 3 to 5 second rushes, where you get up, you run, and you drop behind the next cover. And you go, I'm up, they see me, I'm down. And that's about the amount of time it takes for the enemy to go, oh, a target, and get a line of sight on you or a sight picture on you and shoot at you, right? 3 to 5 second rushes. It takes 3 to 5 seconds to acquire that target from a distance and engage you. So you'll see in media them get up, go, I'm up, they see me, I'm down, and then drop, because you say that to yourself. So that's the training, right? Because your brain will instantly get into that. The moment you get up, you just start saying that to yourself, and then you drop. It's part of the training, because when in high-stress environments, you will automatically revert to whatever your training is, because your brain sort of shuts down, and it just does what it knows to do. It's a thing. Anyway, if that makes sense. I don't know if that gives you sort of an idea of some things I'm talking about, John, but I don't want to leave you behind. And I'm not saying that, how dare you not know these things. It's just that I have these, a lot of the people I interact with, this is just, we've all been trained on it. And it's foolish of me to assume that my audience is, because I present information specifically to try to reach out to an audience that would not know this. So I'm really, really glad that you are asking me to sort of go over some things and explain some things. But, yeah. Do the muzzleloader animation to explain it. You want me to... Oh, hey, now I feel like I know what you're doing. Anyway, no. Let's see what else we got. Let's go back to normal speed in a second here. Bang, bang, bang. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Looks good. Great. Not a problem. Just empty that mag, dude. Are you counting rounds, though? Something you generally want to train to do is count how many rounds you are firing. It's very, very useful. What are these folks about to do? I wonder. A humble poet says, Blue Bacon, something tells me that the person who trained them owns more than one wolf t-shirt. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, shooting from the hip with a rifle, interesting choice, not necessarily bad. But rifle to pistol transition drills, great, because if you're firing and your gun jams and you still need to put lead towards the enemy, I mean, fixing that jam could take a few seconds. So we do train on this. Fire, fire, fire. Get the gun out of your rifle out of the way. Generally, you're on a sling, so you just sort of throw it behind you, and you pull out your pistol, and then you engage. They don't have their rifles on a sling, which is weird. So off of a sling, what they're about to do, I think, yeah. So let's see this. All right, gun out of the way. Draw the pistol. That's not bad. That looks great. I don't know why their guns aren't on slings or their rifles, but right, because weapons retention is kind of important. If you need to move, it's nice to have a weapon on a sling, especially if you need to drop it to get to your pistol. That way you don't have to use one hand with a pistol. It's harder to hit things with one hand compared to a more stable two hands. So, it's a thing. Okay. So it's still the backwards stuff where they're engaging a target behind them. It's just rapid target acquisition, but his feet don't look like they he rotated his entire body fast enough. I don't really have a problem with this. See, before he even took the shot, his leg is coming around. Good. Yes. And he engages real quick. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I mean, he's within kissing distance of that target, so it's not like it's difficult. But transition to pistol to engage. I like that, actually. That looks really good to someone who doesn't know anything. And it looks good for someone who does. He executed that. I mean, the training, but, engaging a target behind you immediately, transitioning to a pistol, and engaging a second target while moving, that's not an easy skill. That looks great. It was executed well. The training's not bad. I'm going to give them a pass on that. That looks fine. And then the transition to the pistol. Let's see it one more time. Do full speed. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, it looks great. Again, rotates out of it fast enough, draws quickly, engages quickly. That's fine training. I have no problem with that. Would I use that training? I don't know, but I don't have issues with it. The shoot house. Okay, so shoot house being a place, basically an environment like this where you have walls, maybe a roof, maybe some stairs. I don't know, to simulate entering a structure. I do remember seeing this, and I was horrified by it. UKPI, hey, thank you so much. No, the suit's all garbage. Don't I know it, but I love it so much. Thank you. Yeah, you didn't expect to get weapons expertise from a guy wearing this garbage, huh? I love it, though. Every holiday. Well, every December holiday. Hey, Duval. How's it going? Oh, no, I'm sorry. There was a mix-up about timing, folks, about when the stream was going to be. And Duval asked a clarifying question, and I was like, well, actually, bruh. And I realized after I sent it, like, that kind of sounds like me. I sound like a jerk in that comment. And a lot of my comments are very sort of matter of fact. And I sound like such a jerk in them. I don't mean to. I don't, like, which is one of the reasons I like doing these streams, because when I do talk to you, I want the right inflections and the right emotions behind them to be present and visible, audible. Visible because of the face. But no, I'm glad you're here. And glad we cleared that up. Anyway, did I train with simunition in the Army at all? No, I didn't. I've trained with simunition, not in the Army. We used airsoft a few times. And then a couple times we used Miles gear, which is basically like really fancy laser tag. But yeah, I've been shot. Oh my God, I've had training where literally the training was for me to be shot and someone else to respond. But if for some reason they were shooting me with real ammunition, I had no protection other than my face, and they were not far from. I was bleeding, and I couldn't do anything about it. I just had to stand there and just take it. And I want to say 6 shots before someone reacted to it appropriately. It was awful. It was so bad. I'm not allowed to give you the details of that training, by the way. I would. That one's civilian side, and I've signed a lot of contracts that say do not go into the detail. I can go into about that much detail because some of the training has been published in a book by the same people that gave the training. So I can basically say what's in the book. I can't go into any details. But yeah, I've been shot unprotected in basically an undershirt, a cup, and a paintball mask. And I just had to stand there until I was rescued. Damsel in distress, bleeding through my shirt. Simunition rounds, by the way, for those of you who don't know, are they use gunpowder to propel a chalk projectile, or in some cases, I think like a paint projectile. I know, is there sponge, or is that just for the 40 mics? This 40 millimeter grenade. And so it disintegrates upon impact. It doesn't use as much powder as your normal bullet. Does it? I'm not sure about that. They hurt. They're probably not going to kill you. They're very unlikely to kill you. I'm sure they could in the right circumstance, but they hurt. So when you're training with firearms, it's really, really good training, because when you're just like bang, bang, firing blanks at each other, there's no risk, right? It's like, oh, I got you. When real projectiles that cause real pain are flying by you, the way that you interact with your environment changes dramatically. You will, I don't care how much you train with blanks, you will not function correctly compared to a real combat environment. You have to train with some sort of projectile, because your brain will be, you will behave differently in a projectile filled environment than it will in just, oh, a gun. 100%. So it's an incredible training tool, because if you mess up, it hurts. You pay for that mistake. And you also know if, like, you hit somebody, which is nice. So it's very unfun. I mean, it's phenomenal training. And so in the military, you generally get pretty used to pain. Or you can, depending on what you're doing in the military. And in a high stress environment where your adrenaline's going, the pain really isn't that bad. It's afterwards you're like, ow, oh no. But you'll never get better combat training than using some sort of, well, I say never. Simunitions is going to be what is going to make you effective, in my opinion, in the battlefield. I can't explain something about it that just changes your entire thought process about it. Toxigenic. Yeah, I've had hot brass going wrong places. Oh, it's frustrating. Anyway, I'm just trying to convey the emotion of being in an environment with the simulation. It's nuts. But I can't because I lack that skill. So I'm going to ask what my experience in the military was. I was military police for about 6 years, active duty, counter-narcotics investigator with the CID as a drug suppression investigator, not as an agent, as an investigator. And I was general crimes as well, MPI, and I've done some patrol work. I am still in the National Guard, but I generally try not to refer to myself as law enforcement, although I am still 31 Bravo, which is the job of military police. I don't really do law enforcement, so it feels weird to, although I have the title, call myself law enforcement, so I generally don't. So if there's any confusion, like, wait, what do you mean when you were or you are? You're like, your tenses, your past, your present, you're like changing. It's because it's weird. I feel weird calling myself law enforcement, although technically I am. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's check out the shoot house. All right, we got one guy in the shoot house. We got a stack being where you have multiple people. A stack is a great way to do it. We've talked about this with Jeremy DeWitt before with his stacks. Generally, you'll enter the building. One person will hook right. One person will go left or straight, depending on the building. There are entire manuals of tactics for this sort of thing. It's hard to... I'll see what I can do to explain it without going into too much detail. But John, absolutely, makes sense. There's a consequence to the mistake. That's what really changes it, is if you mess up, it's real, right? It's not just, oh, I got to sit down out of the fight. It's like, oh, now I'm bruised, maybe bleeding, you know? How am I in with that beard? Because my beard grows fast, and I haven't had to shave it yet because we haven't, our last drill was not in person, so I didn't have to shave it because I didn't have to be in uniform. But it does get shaved generally every month, unfortunately. And people hate it that I have to shave it. All right, so entering, the first guy going straight, perfectly fine. Second guy going to the, or I'm using guy as gender neutral. I think that might be a girl, but guy, gender neutral. Popping to the right real quick, looks great. Second person diagonally, or sorry, third person, fourth person diagonally. We train to continue along the walls, although we would aim probably into the center of the room. We wouldn't run into the center of the room because you don't know if it's been cleared yet. You don't know what's happening. We generally, in military training, you stick on the walls and aim inwards. And so the first person going in will aim down one wall, second person aim down the other, and the next ones will follow them along that wall because maybe there are booby traps, you know. In the center of the room, maybe there's a pit to 1,000-foot drop. Who knows? And sure, you would aim to the center of the room because you don't want to be aiming towards the back of your buddy there. But weird, a little weird. Maybe not wrong, but a little weird. Okay, that person goes in on their own. That's wrong. Why are they going solo? And they're obviously shooting. There's a target because they're shooting. They clear it, run back out. Okay. When you're clearing a building, generally, speed can be important. But generally, in my experience in training, less important than maintaining order and discipline. Because you want to be doing exactly what you know the other person is going to expect you to do. Right? You generally, if you are in a part of a team that does room breach or building breach and clearing, or room breach and clearing, or et cetera, you have trained on this so much that you know what each other is doing. It's weird to be running around like that because generally you want to stay as a group more in my training than that. I don't know exactly how to explain it. Samantha, we're just talking about the garbage training. Uh, on his own, I don't like that. Why wouldn't the other guy go with you? Unless it's to make sure no one tries to sneak around you. But as Justin is saying, move slow. Yeah, slow is smooth is fast, etc., etc. Samantha, personally, I prefer the old battlefield tactic of building. What building? Mark 19s. Anyway, but yeah, like that just is off to me. I do not like that. That this guy, they're just both on their own, right? The reason you would go into a room as a group is to act as a group, right? So if something happens, you can respond as a group. But now they're individuals. They're all cut off. They have no battle buddy. They're all alone in the combat zone. Some of you will recognize those phrases. Ugh, don't like. All right, stacking on the door. Don't stack like that. Stack along the wall, because the moment that door opens, that's a fatal funnel. Fatal funnel being a place you have to enter that the enemy knows to shoot at. And so if you're putting a lot of guys through a small doorway and there's just bullets going to that doorway, you're all dead. You don't stand in front of, even as law enforcement, when you knock on a door, you step off to the side because someone knows you're at the door. If they're going to put a shotgun blast through it, you don't want to be standing there. But stacking up like that, no. Generally, you'd be along the wall. Oh, I don't like that at all. Okay, first person in, second person in, and they're doing that weird diagonal thing. And it looks like they're using live ammo and just firing around everywhere. And it also looks to me like this is all completely choreographed. Oh, corrections. I've seen that video with, so good with Angry Cops. This looks like they've done this to look good. And so it's all been choreographed. They know exactly where to move. They know which target to shoot. If you want to do this and make it look good, you're going to have things changed up. And you're going to have, like this, the speed with which they're moving and shooting tells me they are not reacting blind. They know exactly where everything is going to be. And that's not going to tell you that someone knows what they're doing. That just tells you that you can put them in a dance number and expect them to actually be, taught how to do the choreography well. That's all it tells you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, geez. Oh, my God. Oh, no. All right, hold on. So this guy on this wall stays there. All right, and there are multiple entrances, which is not a good place to be, right? So you'd probably want 2 people to go to this wall, 2 people to go to this wall, and you might have one person stay to cover this to make sure no one comes out, and then the team of 2 might go into this other room. But check this out. So this person runs into this room while this person is still shooting. That bullet was probably 3 inches from the dude's arm. Unacceptable. If I was watching this, I'm like, oh, should I hire them? That alone would tell me no. Absolutely not. I don't care how good of a shot you are. You don't train like that. You don't train to be putting someone in that situation. Because in a battlefield, in an environment where you don't know what's going to happen, anything can happen. And so what if he had tripped and fallen? What if he had taken a bullet in the arm and moved to the side a little bit by accident? What if anything? Absolutely not. You do not train like that. You should be able to shoot like that. But to try to sell someone on, look how good we are, that makes you look awful to me. And now they're all running into that. What about the other doorway? Like, come on, people. Okay. A terrible little cut of movement. That was just terrible editing. A very weird stack. Why are they all on different sides? I can't. Oh, good. Glad we got to see exactly 0 action in that, whatever that was. Like, get a drone at least. I don't know. And that apparently is the video. And they're terrible, terrible, terrible tactics. What are your questions? What would you like to know? Corrections, good call. Taser is better than OC spray. Absolutely. Samantha says, I wouldn't hire these guys to sweep the floor. They'd probably miss 90% of the dirt. Look, they're good shooters. They're fine shooters. They hit targets. Good for them. But it's choreographed. This is a ballet of death, right? Okay, well, it's giving him too much credit. I'm citing Nick Offerman in a video where he did a voiceover. It's a thing. Anyway, yeah, no, that was just garbage. That's not. I hate it. I hate it so much. You ever? Okay, so you want to know what it's supposed to look like, or what, in my experience, is a good look? If you ever watch, what's that movie with? It's about the Bin Laden. Am I right? The rating of his compound. Zero Dark. No, is it Zero Dark 30? I have that right? Anyway, there's a scene in it where it's at night and they're raiding the compound, whatever, and they're going up the stairs and they're all like covering the right directions and they're all very close to each other and they're moving slowly with a purpose, right? Like they know exactly what they're doing. They've actually trained on the compound. They know what the layout is, and they're moving very tactically into rooms together, engaging, moving through it. They're not running through it like this. They're moving with a purpose. There is a speed to their slowness. But they're moving as a unit. And it's just like, that's what it should look like. What are you hiring these people for? Where they have to run through a building and shooting guns. Nothing. There's nothing. If United States Army Special Forces, apparently that was a pretty accurate depiction of them, by the way, in the compound. I don't know if that's actually true. Let me correct myself, United States Special Forces, because that was Navy SEALs, right? If the Navy SEALs, one of the best elite military units in the world, doesn't do it like this, why would their training be better? Why would this be a better option? What situation are these civilians for a private company getting into that does not match what U.S. Navy SEALs are getting into? Samantha, maybe that is exactly what they're planning on doing. Oh, my goodness. Navy SEALs are good at what they do. It's fine. Anyway, questions. Send me the questions. I'm probably not gonna last much longer here, but there are other videos we can watch at some point if you want to see more like terrible security stuff. I have some. I will happily find more. Yeah, if you want to watch me just rant and rave about just stupid stuff. And I'm not saying if I ran a company it would be better, but I would know what not to do when it comes to the stupidity. I'm not saying I would do everything well, but I know what the limit of effective nonsense is. Could I legally hire them to do that kind of thing in the U.S.? Samantha asks. Probably not. Well, actually, it depends on the state, honestly. In some states, you might have a militia. You would need to... Oh, boy. I think probably you actually could in a state where there's a militia. Do they have the authority to actually raid compounds like that? Almost certainly not, actually. So you could hire them to have guns and be whatever, but I don't think so. This might be advertising for like overseas missions as a civilian company. You know what? No. I said yes while I was thinking it through in my head, but I'm going to say no at this point. No, not like that. For security purposes, sure. Like that, the first stuff they were doing where they're engaging a target, absolutely. Yeah, you train on that for security, for like high-end security, for a lot of security, for law enforcement, for whatever. If you're carrying a gun, you train on that kind of stuff, or you should. But the building stuff, no, that feels like they're trying to get hired for overseas missions, there are civilian contractors that do that kind of thing. I would not recommend them, but yeah, it's. Justin says more security videos at some point. All right. Yeah. Detroit. All right. So James wants the Detroit urban guys. Absolutely. Yes. Their stuff is better than what we just saw, though. Their stuff is not great, but there are circumstances where it would be effective. My biggest problem with Detroit threat management, who I think is what you're talking about, the Dust guy, Detroit like urban safety. I don't remember what it's called. The biggest problem is with his grappling training. It's absolute garbage. Like absolute garbage. And then there are some things he says about. The first time I saw the first video I saw of him, he was talking about if you think you're being followed, and his advice is like half right. But basically, like, oh, make 3 right turns or 4 right turns. They follow you through them. You know that you're being followed. Hey, if you think you're being followed, and you do that, and I'll probably go over this at some point, like in actual detail, and you do that, anyone who's following you is also aware that that's going to identify them as, following you. And so if they have an objective, if they're following you to hurt you, to abduct you, to kidnap you, and not for something like what I do, which is a lot of like surveillance. I've had people do that, by the way. I know all the tips and tricks to either determine someone is surveilling you or get away from surveillance. I would do that. I was trained on that prior to actually being an investigator for like private investigators for surveillance stuff. So when people do it, I'm very much aware because I've been trained on both sides of it. But if someone's following you and this guy trains from like a self-defense perspective and you think that they're going to hurt you, no. Drive to the nearest police station, then maybe do your little "are they following me?" and then drive into the police station parking lot and run inside. Don't be like, oh, I wonder if let's do some stuff to see if they follow me. Like, because if they're there to hurt you, they're now going to be much more aggressive to get to you once they realize that they've been discovered or made. And it's just bad advice. I mean, it's good advice for finding someone. It's bad advice from a security perspective. Something that someone advertising themselves as security should be aware of. But what do I know, right? Rennie knows. She knows some of the stories where people caught me. That was a neighbor, though. That wasn't even the person. I'm so good. I don't have a shadow. I did have someone. I just finished the report on this, actually. I was following him, and he immediately started doing the 4 right turns thing. And I followed him through 2, realized that he was going through a 3rd, and just went straight. Like, nope, I'm breaking off. We're in a suburban area. There are a lot of streets and cross streets. I can loop back around and try to get back behind him. Because even if he's not trying to discover if I'm doing it, at the very least, he might notice it just out of happenstance. So I keep going straight. And as I'm going by, I look over, and he has stopped and pulls a U-turn and gets behind me. And I'm like, well, no, I'm being followed. Is he following me? I'm going to have to assume he is. And yeah, he was. So I drove pretty slowly. Just, oh, okay, like, nothing wrong. You don't want to speed up because it's a lot easier to engage in the course of action from a slow speed as opposed to a fast speed. Because if you're going fast and you go faster, you're not going to gain that much. If you're going slow and go faster, you have a lot to work with there that can really be an advantage. And so I'm just going slow. I make a left turn in the direction I wouldn't expect this guy to go. He follows me. I'm like, all right, cool. Hey, Google, take me to the nearest police station. Okay, make a left turn to the next intersection. And as I'm heading towards the intersection, the dude pulls next to me. And I'm like, is he trying to pass me? What's happening? I'm going to pull over and stop. He also stops in the middle of the road. Oh, well, now it's on. So I smack the shifter into reverse. I go backwards to get behind him. It's like, well, now I have to end contact. Like, I'm done. Like, and he, same thing. And as he starts going backwards, I just, nope, back into drive and go in front of him. Like, now the chase is on. I'm still not going that fast. Because he hasn't done anything that is actually putting me in danger. So, I want those speed options. And I need to make a left turn. The only way I can go is a left turn. Straight goes into a school. Right goes into a cul-de-sac. As I get to the intersection, he blocks off that left turn. Well, now I'm not going to go to a school. So I'm going to go to the cul-de-sac. And so I zoop into the cul-de-sac, park in someone's driveway, and just get out of my car and just walked away. Just like where I could still see my car in case he tried to break into it or do whatever to figure out who I was, what I was doing. If he's like, I'm going to take a baseball bat, or I can take out my phone and be like, haha, I got video of it. But I called the police, and they're like, why would this guy be following you? I was like, well, it's a funny story, actually. I'm surveilling him for work. And, oh, okay. And they were very, very nice and very, very helpful. And an officer showed up and got him out of there. And that is all. There is more information to it, Rennie. Any more, and it gets more than I can probably reveal because this is probably still an open surveillance. And the only reason I'm talking about it because he knows he's being surveilled at this point. Like there is no question about it. So like there's no hurt in me doing it. But I won't explain why, what for, who it is, what happened afterwards. But I will tell you, I think we're done surveilling him. I don't think they're sending me back if he's that paranoid. So, yeah, it was a thing, man. It was a thing. NBC, this more power to him. You did well, sir. You did very well identifying me. I don't think I was that hard to identify based on circumstances of the surveillance that I will not go into detail about. But yeah, that was an exciting day. I was hopped up on that adrenaline for a while. Yeah, dude was nuts. It was nuts. There's more to that story, but I won't tell it for a while because I don't want to discuss something that is this recent in case, they're like, no, go back there. I don't think I'm going to go back, though. Depends on what they pay me. Jason says, I heard the Army uses a SIG 320. They do now. So, before it was the Beretta 9mm. Big, clunky gun. Not a bad gun, just big and clunky. More than it needs to be, for sure. Investigators and agents use the SIG P228, which is a delightful gun, but very expensive. And then they just recently started using the P320, which is lovely. I've got to fire it once. And I loved it. I want one. I don't have one. And I want to have one. Apparently, it's a problem. If you drop it, it might go off. But I think the Army might have fixed that with their stash. I don't know, but it's a good gun. I like it. I've also used Glock. I don't really like Glock. It's just I don't like the look. It's picky, I know, but if I'm going to spend $500 on a Glock or $500 on a SIG, I'm going with that SIG. But yeah. What other questions? I mean, why not? Why not? I could just keep answering questions, talking to you guys. That's why I'm here. James asked if I'm covered if I'm accused of stalking. Yes, because I have a legitimate lawful purpose for doing it. So stalking requires there are generally three elements. One, you are repeatedly engaging with someone, interacting, following, etc. Two, is it two elements or three? Two, okay, it's three. Two, you are putting them in reasonable fear for their safety. And three, you have no lawful purpose for doing so. So if a police officer is following you, for example, that's not stalking because they have a lawful purpose, presumably, for doing it because their job is to enforce law and keep things safe, more or less. It is more complicated than that. Someone's going to go, oh, but they don't have a duty to protect. Well, that's actually a very nuanced discussion. It is not that simple. But because I have a lawful purpose for doing it, because as a private investigator I'm being paid, because there is no real threat to them, because I'm acting as, at the very least, a second, possibly a third party to whatever the reason I am conducting the surveillance as a field agent, basically, for the company I work for. I do not meet the elements of stalking. It is a fine line, but it is one that has been established in court multiple times to the point where I do have a perfectly adequate defense that I'm not worried about. I know what my limits are, having been law enforcement. Technically, still am. I know what the limits are. I know what crazy loopholes there are. For example, if I was like, oh, I want to check out your vehicle parked in your driveway, I can just go up to your vehicle. If you don't have a sign saying in Washington State, not every state is like this, in Washington State, if you don't have a fence, if it's not blocked off, or there isn't a no trespassing sign, I can just walk onto your property until you tell me to leave. I am not trespassing. So if I'm like, oh, it's 3 a.m, they're asleep, they don't have cameras, I need to know what their license plate is, I can just walk right up to the car and just go, oh, interesting. Oh, now, there are a lot of reasons you would not do that. Motion sensing lights, if you don't see the camera, but one does exist, and for that, you might use something like an infrared camera. I have a little GoPro I got for like $20. Someone's like, it's broken. Turns out, it's often a battery thing, and you can drain the battery in a certain way and get it working again. It's a risk you can take, but $20 GoPro, not bad. I think it's like a GoPro Hero 2, maybe? I don't know. You take out the lens. You can get a lens that does not have the red light filter. There's an IR filter that are in the lens. You take that lens out, and generally you have to buy a different lens because the ones that are built into the GoPro doesn't really work that well because it's not designed for it, but there are certain cheaper lenses that you can pretty easily take it out. You pop it back in, all of a sudden your camera will pick up IR light. So if you're going ghost hunting, which is what I actually did this for, congratulations, you now have an IR camera that picks up IR light, and so you can use an IR light to illuminate things so that your eyeballs aren't blinded by light, but your camera picks it up. But for a night vision camera that's going to see you snooping around at 3 in the morning, it's going to emit generally either it's going to emit a infrared light source, or it's going to be able to pick that stuff up. So if there is a street light, that might be enough. But if there is a street light, it might be enough to also illuminate the camera so that you can see that it is there, especially if you have your own little night vision, little infrared device. And if it is emitting infrared, your camera will absolutely pick it up. It's a whole thing. Technology, right? So there are all these little tips and tricks and tiny little things that you can do. But yeah, you can sneak around your house at 3 in the morning. There are limits to it. But yeah, it's a loophole. A lot of people are just... Sony Handycam as well. Yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff with those to pick up light. And I'm planning to throw carrots in my garage door for reindeer. I am not. Not yet. Preferred handgun and rifle. Preferred handgun and rifle was the one that I've trained with. A lot of people have preferences. Good for you. It's really up to what you are most comfortable with. I love me an AR platform because that's why I was trained with in the military. However, I've been eyeballing a nice shotgun for home defense that is a bullpup design, which means the magazine's actually in the back, giving it a longer barrel for the same weapon length. The problem is I've never trained with having a magazine back here. My magazine's always right there. So I'll have to train a lot on it. It's as a shotgun. There is a potential for jamming, so I'll have to cycle a lot of rounds through it to get everything functional so it doesn't jam. I think it's a 410 that I'm looking at because I'm not going to use it outside of my house. This is more if you're in my house. 410 is going to do it. 410 being a fairly small shotgun round. And also, as a shotgun round, I have the option to load in less lethal. There are beanbag rounds that you can get. And so I really love having that option so that legally, I don't have to deal with some of the issues that you would have killing a person. And yes, if someone's breaking your home and you kill them, you have probably a pretty good defense. I would like to have the option if I'm in a situation that doesn't quite meet that line. And knowing what that line is, in my mind, it would just make me happier to have those options so that I can take an action that someone else might not. But with that short length, it'd be better for if I need to maneuver around my house. Also being 410, suppressors are pretty cheap, 410s. So I can get a suppressor, I can get the tax stamp for that and whatever. So for home defense, I do love me a shotgun, and that's what I've been looking at right now. I do love 5.56 just because I'm very familiar with it. If your rifle works, bolt action, great for hunting, not necessarily great for home defense. AK platform, same, just if you're used to it, by all means. Pistol, you can use a revolver. I'm not a big fan of revolvers. There's the Smith & Wesson Governor, and I like that because you can shoot 410 shotgun rounds out of it, so you have a revolver that can do like 44 long Colt and 410, so I can have a very lethal round and maybe load in a couple beanbag rounds as well. My first 2 shots, if I'm like, if I'm carrying a gun in self-defense outside of my home, it's for self-defense. It's to get away. It's not to be the hero. It's not to go rescue people. Maybe that will be an option. I don't know. But it's for self-defense. I really like the idea of being able to defend myself less lethal. And that way, if I have to go, take the stand in court and say, well, Your Honor, the reason I killed the man was, I can say, before I shot him with a 44 long Colt, big old bullet, I shot him with less lethal rounds out of my revolver, right? That is a hell of a legal defense. Well, wow. That's a great legal defense. So, but other than that, the SIG P320, Lovely gun. Love it. Glocks, phenomenal guns. I just don't really like the look. It's what you train on. And with pistols and probably rifles, I assume, you get what you pay for. I would not recommend, probably, unless you know very well that it's a great gun, I wouldn't recommend paying less than $500 for it. Know what you're buying. Research whatever, because you don't want it to jam. You don't want it to malfunction. If you have a gun, it's to shoot things. Sure, target practice, yay, fun. But what are you practicing for? Shooting things. And sure, that might be hunting. But what if it's not? What if someone breaks into your home and you have your gun and you're like, well, I better defend myself? Do you want it to jam? No. You want it to be a gun that you are familiar with. You want it to be a gun that you are maintaining. You want it to be a gun that is effective. And within that criteria, there's just hundreds of guns. So if you, like, for example, if you brought like 5 guns to me and you said, which one would you recommend? Absolutely. I can give you a good, I'm just rambling at this point. I can give you a great review, I'm sure. Right? I would do some research. I would look into it. But at the end of the day, what are you familiar with? What do you trust? If it's really small, it might have a lot of kick. Accuracy might be low, but you can conceal it well. If it's really big, hard to conceal. Accuracy might, or the kick might be more manageable, but it might be a little too heavy. If you have little small baby hands, not a problem. Some people do. Is it too much? Can you really get a good grip? There's so much. It depends on the person. Depends on their training. Depends on so many things. And if any of you are in my area, in the Seattle area, let's go to a gun range. I'll teach you some stuff. Maybe. I don't know. I'll teach it well. Walmart 120. Ugh. But UK PI, thank you so much. Loved PI work, but after 15 years, me and family are done. Yeah, there's definitely an end point, right, where you reach it and you're just like, I can't. I'm too old. It's too dangerous. I have a family, and I've been fortunate. I haven't done too much stuff that's really dangerous. But it for sure can be, and I 100% understand. No, I got to take care of my family. I can't be doing that. And there are easy transitions out of PI work into other sectors that are much safer. And I respect that 100%. And someday I will do the same thing. But, yeah. Are we talking about security cameras? I know a thing or two about those. Oh, yeah, Samantha, Georgia. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do it in Georgia. Washington, it is allowed. Now, rural Washington, probably not. I met a guy, by the way. He had an LNI claim. He had a work injury, and so he was at home. And that is something I sometimes get sent out to do, is observe people and see if they are engaging in activities that are contrary to their claims for insurance money. And so he's out in the middle of nowhere. Really fun guy. And really enjoyed hearing his story. He'd have told it much better than me. But an L&I investigator was watching him, and it was very obvious because middle of nowhere, like, what's that car doing parked on the road, right? And so our boy wasn't very active in his home. The L&I investigator went and did some snooping around, the house. My guess, in my experience, would be that he wanted to know if there were signs of occupation, right? Is this the right house? Is the person home? Et cetera, et cetera. There are certain times where you would do that to determine these things. It's very important. Because if you're observing the wrong house for a week, like, good luck getting the client to pay you, right? You just wasted a week. You've done all the work. You're not getting paid. And our boy was like, oh, no, He's snooping around my porch. He's looking at my windows. Sneaks out the back door with his, I like to think it was a Magnum. I don't remember what it was. Comes up to the dude, puts it against his head, and says, something I can help you with, sir. I'm an L&I investigator. Get out, right? I wouldn't be snooping through windows. Absolutely not. At most, I'd knock on your door and be like, I'm looking for Shannon. Do I have the right address? And then maybe I'd look, like, do you have a family home? Like, this is the home of whatever. Do you have mail on your porch that might have your name? And I'll look for things, but I'm not going to be snooping, right? If I'm going to be on your property, I'm hopefully, unless it's like 3 a.m, going to look like I have a legitimate purpose to be there, so you don't get all super suspicious, right? It's a normal interaction, whatever, right? Oh, you're selling Girl Scout cookies. One of my favorites is if a law is being proposed in the state legislation stuff, I'll go up and I'll be I'll go to a few houses in the neighborhood, and I'll be like, what do you think of this law? Do you think this? How do you think it will affect this? And I'll get to the house, and I'll just be typing in what they're wearing, what they look like, do they appear injured, what's happening in the background as they're answering these questions. Oh, interesting. Let me write that down. Yeah, it's for a news story. Oh, what publication? I can't say, because as an independent reporter, I've been tasked to do this, but we haven't officially confirmed until the story is written where it's going to be published. So I'm not really allowed to discuss, because I don't want to give you the wrong thing. We could get, we don't want to, that's my favorite. It's one of my favorites, because it's just like, let me just, but it takes a little work and preparation for. It's a whole thing. But anyway, it's a good call, Justin. Good to have you all here. I've been doing this for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh, good times. It's nice to talk to you guys. I don't do this nearly enough. Hopefully I get to do it more. And we'll do this again soon, I hope. So maybe tomorrow I'll get a stream going, playing a video game. Maybe VR. Maybe something else. Who knows? Someone did ask, like, oh, will you ever do GTA? Maybe. I haven't... Maybe. It's an option. There are mods for it where you can play as police and all that. It's worth looking into, sure. But that's all I got. And thank you, everyone, for being so much fun to hang out with, for your generous support of the channel. Etsy is in the description. Patreon's in the description. It's et cetera. And hopefully I have more time in the near future to give you guys more heads up about streaming. And yeah, it's a whole thing. So that's all I got, folks. Until the next time, be good, stay safe.